Warrior Lore. Chapter 29-26. Translator. H2-2 Mr. Mini Devil experts sneered in their hearts. All of this was something they hadn't expected. The 33 heavens actually dared to directly charge into the 18 levels of hell without sufficient arrangements. They were simply delivering themselves up to be killed. It was precisely because of this that the devils didn't hold back in the slightest when they attacked. Especially the 3 devil generals, they directly pounced towards Lu Jingyun and the others. Under the deterrence of these experts, the meditative realm experts didn't even have the strength to resist. They'd all walked their own paths, and their strength was far stronger than the meditative realm experts. In the eyes of these 3 devil generals, Lu Jingyun and the others were indeed as weak as ants. Besides that, Du Xiaofu also faced enormous pressure. Because of the desolate fiend devil general's attack, coupled with the destruction of the ancient desolate space, he'd long since been heavily injured, and his strength had been reduced to less than 100%. Facing the attacks of Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin, Du Xiaofu was barely able to maintain dodging, and he was unable to face them head-on. For a time, all the experts of the 33 heavens fell into a desperate situation, and everyone was facing a test of life and death. Rumble. A terrifying battle unfolded, and the entire 12th level of hell emitted a terrifying tremor. The scarlet sky was exploding, the boundless earth was collapsing, and the boundless void was shattering. Practically everywhere in this level of hell had transformed into a state of chaos, and the scene was incomparably terrifying. All the living beings were in a chaotic battle, and they were doing their best to fight the devils. Kill. Even if we die, we'll take a few down with us. We can't let the devils run rampant. Every time we kill a devil, our sacrifice today will be worth it. Kill. Fight the devils to the death. All the experts of the 33 heavens had aroused all their blood, and they roared ferociously, spilling their hearts full of hot blood as they fought the devils. At this instant, everyone no longer thought about how to leave the 18 levels of hell because it had already become an impossible matter. Instead of being at a loss, it was better to fight the devils to the death. Even if they had to risk their lives, they had to slaughter a few more devils so that when the devils invaded the 33 heavens in the future, the pressure on countless living beings would lessen by a bit. In other words, everyone was prepared to die. No one wanted to leave the 18 levels of hell alive. Kikik. No matter how much you struggle, it's meaningless. Everything you've done is in vain. Tremble, ants. Use your blood to stain the land of my demon race. With the aid of such slaughter, my demon race will grow even stronger. At that time, the other life forms of the 33 heavens will accompany you on the road to the Yellow Springs. The people of the Devil Clan also shouted out one by one. They were extremely excited. Now that they had the absolute upper hand, they were simply bursting with excitement. In the endless slaughter, the strength of the devil race would definitely grow stronger and stronger. For a time, in the entire 12th level of hell, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the demons had different mindsets as they engaged in fierce battles. However, all of them had the same thought, and that was that the outcome had already been decided. No matter how hard they tried, they would be unable to change the final outcome. And in this process, the only thing they could do was to maximize the results of the battle. However, just when everyone was certain that everything would develop according to the established trajectory and no more major accidents would occur, a monstrous pressure suddenly pervaded the air and descended abruptly, and all the experts in the battle felt it. Rumble. This sudden terrifying pressure was like the suppression of the heavens. In just an instant, it caused the souls of those who were not very strong to tremble. There's a change. In an instant, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Chu Daoju, Long San, Ling Feng and the rest all felt this situation. In the first moment, they realized that something had definitely happened. What happened? On the side of the Devil Clan, the 3 great devil generals, the 2 great devil attendants, and many forgotten experts were also extremely puzzled. This situation did not seem right, and it was completely out of their expectations. Normally speaking, more than half of the Devil Clan of the 18 levels of hell had already gathered here, and no other experts should have come. A large number of living beings have arrived. Among them, there are a few who are extremely powerful. Just as everyone was confused, the blood god demon general suddenly spoke. He looked into the distance and said, "Don't worry." On the other hand, his words caused Dongli Chihuang, Chen Yin, and the others to be shocked. A large number of living beings had arrived, but this was nothing. Perhaps the 33 heavens still had a backup plan, and another wave of experts had arrived at the 18 levels of hell. However, the blood god demon general had said that some of those people were very strong. What was an extremely powerful concept in the eyes of a Dao carrier realm cultivator was absolutely terrifying to Easternly, Qi Huang, and the others. Could it be that those people were in the Dao carrier realm? If that was the case, then the following situation would undergo a huge change. Let them come. Before they arrive, let's deal with these ants in the Forgotten Realm first. The Ming Luo demon general snorted coldly and suddenly attacked. A terrifying wave of devil qi shot directly towards Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others. Within the devil qi, there was a strange energy of the Grand Tao circulating and boiling, and the laws in this space were directly stirred into mush. This was the strength of a Dao carrier realm expert. Under the surging power, Lu Jingyun and the other Forgotten Realm experts were all restrained on the spot, and they were completely unable to move. They could only watch as the terrifying devil qi surged towards them. The Ming Luo demon general had attacked with all his strength, and he did not want to waste any more time. If they waited for those experts to arrive, then there would be endless variables at that time. Taking advantage of the time before they arrived, even killing one of the experts of the 33 heavens would be good. Do you think you can touch this old man's grand disciple? At this moment, a cold snort shook heaven and earth, and the sound waves were like muffled thunder, roaring and rolling and sweeping in all directions. Accompanying it was a huge and boundless swastika symbol with dazzling golden light. It directly pressed down like a round of world-destroying divine seal, and a wild and desolate aura surged, as vast as the abyss, and brazenly collided with the devil qi attack of the Ming Luo demon general. Boom! A monstrous earthquake occurred, and the entire world was tossed and turned, and all matter was sent flying. Countless waves of chaotic qi were generated and swept through the heavens and the earth. The Ming Luo demon general who was closest to Lu Jingyun and the rest retreated in the midst of this terrifying shock, and he did not dare to hesitate in the slightest. Lu Jingyun and the other experts were pulled away by an invisible hand and brought to a safe place. The demons and people of the 33 heavens who were fighting in other places were also lifted high into the sky by this force and could not control themselves. Strong reinforcements have arrived. Du Xiaofu, Dongli Chihuang, and Shan Yin could no longer continue fighting, and in an instant, he knew that there must be experts who had killed their way into the 18 levels of hell to help them. Sure enough, right when Du Xiaofu was lost in thought, an expanse of shouts that shook the heavens and the earth suddenly sounded out from afar. Kill! The battle cry was earth-shattering, and it sounded like there were a lot of people, and the momentum was majestic and boundless. Soon, a large number of figures could be seen rushing over from afar. They quickly rushed into the chaotic battlefield. The chaotic world of the 3,000 sectors is here to help the 33 heavens destroy the devil race. The chaotic world of the 3,000 sectors is here to help the 33 heavens destroy the devil race. The chaotic world of the 3,000 sectors is here to help the 33 heavens destroy the devil race. The flying spirit sect of the 3,000 sectors is here to help the 33 heavens destroy the devil race. With the arrival of a large number of figures, the shouts also sounded. This person's momentum was like a rainbow, and he killed his way into the battlefield with absolute strength. There were also millions of people. Such a scene stunned the experts of the devil race and the 33 heavens in this level of space. The battle could not continue for the time being, and the two sides gathered, once again forming two camps, and stood facing each other, looking at the black mass of people who were killing. Martial ancestor. After Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Lu Cheng, and the others were rescued, they saw a domineering figure standing beside them, and their faces were filled with surprise, and they bowed down one after another. Beside them was a thin, middle-aged man, but his entire face was filled with boundless majesty, as if he was a god who ruled over the heavens. He had the bearing of being above all living things, making people want to bow down and worship him. Seeing Lu Jingyun and the others bow, the thin, middle-aged man nodded slightly and then looked in the direction of the devil race. "Who are you?" Ming Luo Demon General's eyes narrowed fiercely, and he looked at the person opposite him and asked. As soon as the thin, middle-aged man appeared, he saved Lu Jingyun and the others with absolute strength and even forced him to retreat. This person's cultivation was absolutely monstrous. However, people with such strength usually only appeared in ancient times, and as a demon general who was famous for his fierce reputation, he had never seen him before, so he could not help but be puzzled. "Remember my name, 8 Desolation Saint Sovereign, Debatian," the thin middle-aged man said softly. His eyes were like lightning, and he looked at Ming Luo Demon General without the slightest fear. "And me, Dong Huang Taixian." In an instant, another majestic figure appeared out of thin air and appeared next to 8 Desolation Saint Sovereign, Debatian. In this person's hand was a golden saber. The saber was filled with ferocious power, like a divine object that could split the heavens and earth, and it made people feel reverence. Debatian, Dong Huang Taixian. They are people from the 3,000 great worlds. Blood God Demon General stepped forward and said coldly, scarlet blood dripping from his body to the ground. His body, which looked like it had been skinned, made people's scalps tingle. They had never seen these two people who had suddenly appeared in ancient times, so it was not difficult to imagine their origins. The 3,000 great worlds were far behind Panga World and the Demon World, and the demon generals had heard about them from Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin, so they naturally knew of their existence. Obviously, Debatian and Donghuang Dongxian were extremely terrifying existences. You're only half-step Dao realm cultivators. If it were in ancient times, the two of you wouldn't be a match for me even if you attacked together. Desolation Demon General stepped forward and said coldly as he looked at the two opposite him. He could see the cultivation of the two experts with a single glance, and he did not seem to be intimidated by them at all. Upon hearing those words, the experts from the 33 heavens and the devil race were stunned once again. Only now did they know that these two people were half-step Dao realm cultivators, and they were indeed extremely powerful. However, such strength seemed to be insufficient in front of the 3 demon generals. You also know that it was in ancient times. Now that you've been suppressed for countless years and only managed to break out of the seal, your strength has been greatly reduced. How can you look down on us? Debatian was unmoved by Desolation Demon General's contempt, and he only snorted coldly and said. His entire body exuded a boundless aura as he looked at the 3 demon generals, not backing down at all. Debatian naturally knew that if it were in ancient times, the 3 demon generals would indeed be invincible existences to him. However, it was different now. These people had experienced the chaos of ancient times, and their strength had been greatly affected. Then, they were suppressed by Pangu and sealed in the 18 levels of hell together with the demon ancestors' primordial spirit. Countless years had passed, and their strength was no longer the same as before. If they really fought, Debatian was extremely confident that he could defeat them. What an arrogant bastard! You even dare to provoke us. In that case, let's see who will have the last laugh. The blood god demon general's eyes darkened, and he was extremely angry at Debatian's contempt. Their fierce reputation was built on endless killing. When had they ever been looked down upon? It was completely intolerable. Then let's have a try. Donghuang Taishuan's eyes flashed as he said coldly. Like Debatian, he was completely unmoved by the 3 demon generals. Seniors, are you confident? At this time, Du Xiaofu had already come to Debatian and Donghuang Taishuan's side and asked worriedly. From the way Lu Jingyun addressed Debatian, Du Xiaofu could easily tell that the Octaterra Saint Venerable was one of Lu Xiaoyou's teachers. Lu Jingyun had already told him a lot of information through voice transmission. Within the 3,000 vast worlds, there were the three most powerful worlds: the chaotic heavens world, the chaotic lands world, and the chaotic people world. Perhaps on the whole, the 3,000 vast worlds were not as prosperous as the 33 heavens. However, just by looking at the three chaotic worlds, their prosperity exceeded that of any of the 33 heavens. As for Debatian, he was the original ruler of the chaotic heavens world, and his cultivation was extremely high. Because of this, there was no doubt about his strength. He was definitely not much weaker than Debatian. The other expert, Donghuang Taixian, was almost on the same level as Debatian. Both of them were rare experts in the world. However, from the conversation just now, Debatian and Donghuang Taixian were only at the half-step path realm. They were probably still far away from the real path realm. In this way, if the two of them wanted to deal with the three demon generals, it would seem that they were not strong enough. The only advantage they had was that the three demon generals had experienced the ancient war and been sealed for countless years. Their strength had been greatly reduced. Ha ha ha, little guy, you must be the legendary Du Xiaofu. Donghuang Taixian suddenly laughed and looked at Du Xiaofu as he spoke. Obviously, he had heard about Du Xiaofu and had a certain understanding of him. Yes, I am. Du Xiaofu nodded and did not explain further. He still stared at the two experts. Seeing Du Xiaofu's gaze, Debatian laughed and said, "Don't worry. Although the two of us are not as strong as the three demon generals, in terms of strength, we are definitely not weaker than the three of them. Not to say that we can crush them, but if we want to fight 2 against 3, we will definitely not be at a disadvantage." At the end of his words, Debatian's body surged with a ferocious aura. He suddenly stared at the 3 demon generals in front of him, his bright eyes filled with contempt. As for the 3 demon generals, they had no idea where Debatian's confidence came from. "Why are you still talking so much? Let's fight. Let's see what the two of you are capable of." Ming Luo Demon General did not want to wait any longer. He shouted in a deep voice. His body stepped out in the air, carrying with it a terrifying power of the great Tao. The surrounding rules of order were directly crushed into nothingness. The people of the 3,000 great worlds can't change the outcome. Since you're here, then stay here with the people of the 33 heavens. Blood God Demon General's words were deep. His entire body was filled with killing intent. He instantly rushed out and faced Debatian and Donghuang Taixian head-on. "Let's fight. This time, with such strong reinforcements, the 33 heavens will not be afraid of the demon race." Lu Jingyan shouted. He also wanted to rush into the sky and continue fighting the demon race. However, his movement was stopped by Debatian. Debatian said, "Jingyan, lead the injured people of the 33 heavens to recuperate first. Leave this place to us. After your injuries have stabilized, we will continue to push deeper into the 18 levels of hell. These demon race will definitely not be able to stop our advance." Debatian's body was filled with a powerful and domineering aura that swept through the heavens and earth. Following his instructions, Lu Jingyu nodded and retreated. Many of the experts of the 33 heavens were injured, especially those in the meditative realm. I also have an independent space here with the effect of time acceleration. Everyone, enter it to recuperate. Soon, you will be able to come out and fight. Lu Jingyun waved his hand and opened a space treasure. Du Xiaofu was slightly stunned when he saw this, but he quickly understood. It was not difficult to understand why Lu Jingyun could have such an independent space. With his cultivation and background, it was very easy for him to obtain such a thing. Right now, his ancient desolate space was damaged and could no longer be used. Therefore, Du Xiaofu did not hesitate and rushed into the space opened by Lu Jingyun. "Let's go." Under the lead of the meditative realm experts, the injured experts of the 33 heavens rushed into the space one after another. Chapter 29-27. Along with many members of the 33 heavens entering Lu Jingyun's space to recuperate, the battle between the 3,000 worlds and the devil race had finally begun. However, the 33 heavens possessed a few million experts after all, and most of them still retained their combat strength. At this moment, when they joined forces with the 3,000 worlds, they actually firmly occupied the upper hand. There were actually many experts at the meditative realm amongst the experts of the 3,000 worlds that Di Batian and Donghuang Taishin brought over, and they directly and fiercely suppressed the peerless combat strength of the devil race, including Dongli Chihuang and Chan Yin. Under such circumstances, even though the situation hadn't become one-sided, the devil race was practically in a passive state. Such a scene caused Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin to be both furious and hateful. The experts of the 3,000 worlds actually arrived at such a critical moment. Looks like they were prepared since a long time ago. Dongli Chihuang couldn't help but think like this as he fought an expert. He gritted his teeth tightly as he stared at the direction that Du Xiaofu had vanished towards, and boundless resentment arose in his heart. If he knew that he would face such a situation, he would have asked the 3 devil generals to make a move at the first possible moment to directly suppress Du Xiaofu and eliminate this enormous calamity first. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 worlds have merged together, so we're utterly unable to stop them unless we mobilize the strength of the 18 levels of hell. On the other side, Chun Yan's heart was extremely heavy as well. The energy of his soul core spied out, and he sensed that the few million experts of the 3,000 worlds were moving through the sky, and every single one of them possessed ferocious combat strength. On the other side, Di Batian and Donghuang Taishin were in battle with the 3 devil generals at this moment. Di Batian's hands flipped incessantly while numerous profound seals were formed by him, and they transformed into 9 flickering golden characters that resided in space. After that, these 9 characters suddenly merged into one and formed the shape of the swastika. It revolved like a wheel of destruction, and it swept through the surroundings and crushed everything. The golden saber in Donghuang Taishuan's hand swung repeatedly. It slashed the stars in the heavens above and the earth below. Everything it encountered was turned into nothingness. The strengths of these 2 people were extremely terrifying, and they really deserved to be at the half-step Dao undertaking realm. Moreover, in the eyes of Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin, they were even able to discern a different situation. After all, they'd experienced the ancient war and witnessed the attacks of numerous experts of the Dao attainment realm, so their own strengths were terrifying and monstrous. So, with a single glance, Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin noticed to their astonishment that Di Batian and Donghuang Taishuan's strengths weren't just at the half-step Dao enlightened realm. Their cultivation bases could be said to be only a step away from the Dao carrier realm. Their true combat strength was not much weaker than the 3 demon generals at their peak, not to mention that the 3 demon generals were currently heavily injured. As a result, the disparity between the 2 sides grew even greater. Not only were the demon race powerhouses unable to resist the combined forces of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, but even the 3 demon generals had fallen into an absolute disadvantage. If the situation continued to develop like this, the demon race's side would eventually be defeated if the battle continued to drag on. Humph! If it weren't for the existence of the demon ancestor, how could the demon race fight against the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds with your current strength? Di Batian struck out a divine seal, brazenly pressing down on desolate demon general's head, sending his body flying in a straight line, smashing the void into a chaotic mess. It looked as terrifying as a mountain range that had been smashed into pieces. The demon race must be killed. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds are joining forces for the first battle. If we can use you 3 demon generals as a sacrifice, it can't be better. Donghuang Taishin was also domineering. As his long saber rose and fell, terrifying cracks appeared in the 12th layer of hell, as if he wanted to crush this side of the world. It was incomparably terrifying. Just as the 2 of them had said, the greatest threat to the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds was the demon ancestor. As for the others, although their overall strength wasn't weak, if they really wanted to fight against the powerhouses of the 2 great worlds, the gap in strength was still too great. If the demon ancestor didn't come out, or if the powerhouses of the 18 levels of hell didn't come out, the demon race before them could only face the fate of being trampled by them. As for the 3 demon generals, they were also in the ranks of being trampled, without exception. The 2 of you are indeed very strong, but it'll be difficult for you to defeat the 3 of us. The blood god demon general let out an earth-shattering roar that pierced through the soul. He fought with all his might, joining forces with Ming Luo demon general and desolate demon general to fight Di Batian and Donghuang Taishian to the death. The three demon generals gave their all, but they still couldn't turn the situation around. They were tightly suppressed by the two of them. However, they knew very well that although Di Batian and Donghuang Taishian were powerful, it would be difficult for them to truly kill the three of them. In the 12th layer of hell, close to 10 million living beings were engaged in a terrifying massacre. Terrifying power roared like a tsunami, and every inch of space was annihilated by the terrifying energy. It was as if thousands of mountains had collapsed, and boundless waves swallowed the heavens and the earth. All existences were shattered, and only figures were left behind in the boundless energy storm. They were like mosquitoes dancing in the sky, and the scene was inexplicably terrifying. At this moment, Du Xiaofu and the others who were in Lu Jingyun's space were recovering at full speed. Everyone took out the elixirs they had on them. At this moment, they didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache. They all stuffed them into their mouths and refined them with all their might. The most shocking thing about this space was that the power of time acceleration here was even more terrifying than Du Xiaofu's desolate ancient space. It was at least several times stronger. With such an environment, everyone naturally recovered incomparably quickly. However, everyone was also worried about the situation outside. One thing was for sure, and that was that it would be very difficult for them to attack in a short period of time. They could only rely on the powerhouses outside to resist. Under such circumstances, time passed slowly. In the 12th layer of hell, terrifying energy swept across the sky and ground, crushing everything in its path. Every area had turned into chaos, and the impact was extremely shocking. Di Batian and Donghuang Taishian displayed their full strength. Their terrifying combat strength poured out, and they suppressed the three demon generals to the point of repeatedly retreating. Just as the three demon generals had sensed, the two of them were indeed only a step away from the true Dao vessel realm. This wasn't empty talk, but the truth. What a powerful duo! The blood god demon general muttered. The flesh on his chest had suffered a blow from Di Batian's divine seal, and a black hole had been blasted out, causing his originally incomparably terrifying appearance to look even more terrifying. We can't continue fighting. If this continues, it'll be very disadvantageous for us. In the battle, Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin were also being attacked by a group of powerhouses. They were at a disadvantage, and they had no choice but to think so. Lord's request is for us to delay the people of the 33 heavens. We only need to delay their advance. Given Lord's speed, it won't be many years before he enters the 18th layer of hell and completely fuses with his nascent spirit. Once he emerges, the true decisive battle will begin. Chen Yin transmitted his voice to the eastern mythical Scarlet Phoenix. When they learned that Du Xiaofu and the others had entered the 18th layer of hell, Jiang Chun had asked them to lead the demon race's experts to intercept them. However, he hadn't demanded that they stop the people of the 33 heavens with all their might. Perhaps Jiang Chun had long since guessed that the invaders had made ample preparations, so he'd told them not to kill Du Xiaofu by force. We'll retreat as we fight. Send more people into the next few layers of hell and gather more people to fight. Dongli Qihuang pondered for a moment, then made this decision. Now that the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes were at their peak, the demons couldn't stop their fierce advance at all, let alone kill them all in the 12th layer of hell. Therefore, the best solution was for the demons to retreat as they fought and conserve their strength. At the same time, they'd send people deeper into the 18th layer of hell and gather more people. Only then would they truly be able to stall the outside world's experts. So long as they could delay them for a certain period of time, and by time for Lord Demon Ancestor to fuse with his nascent spirit, they'd all die in the 18th layer of hell. That's a good idea. Chen Yin nodded, expressing his agreement with Dongli Qihuang's idea. If they continued to fight, the demons would lose a great deal of their manpower. Rather than make such pointless sacrifices, it was better to lure the people of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes deeper into the 18th layer of hell and fight again. Presumably, By the time they retreated to the 16th or 17th layer of hell, Jiang Chun would have fused with his nascent spirit. At that time, everything would truly begin. Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin quickly retreated from the battlefield. Even though the experts of the 3,000 universes were hot on their heels, the two of them refused to fight. They shuttled back and forth between the battlefield. At the same time, their orders were secretly passed down. Some demons withdrew and headed deeper into the 18th layer of hell. The three demon generals received the transmission as well. Not long after, all the demons started to fight as they retreated. When they saw this scene, the eyes of Dibatian, Donghuang Taixian, and the others flickered. I'm afraid the demons have made new arrangements. We have to be careful. Dibatian's eyes flickered as he spoke in a low voice. The unusual actions of the demons caused him to be cautious. After all, the 18th layer of hell was their territory, and they couldn't be careless. Since we're already here, let's kill our way in and take a look. No matter what scheme they have, we must fight to the end and wreak havoc in the 18th layer of hell. Donghuang Taixian nodded and spoke. The 33 heavens had joined forces with the 3,000 universes. With so many experts moving, unless they encountered the demon ancestor, they wouldn't fear these demons at all. Perhaps the demons don't want to lose too much here. At the same time, they want to buy time for the demons to recover. Dibatian thought for a moment and quickly understood the intentions of the demons. Without further delay, he waved his arm and said, "Everyone, give chase with all your might. Bring along Jingyun and the others. We can't let the demons retreat so easily." As he spoke, he stretched out a hand and gently grabbed at the void as if he had grabbed a strange existence. This strange existence was the independent space that Lu Jingyun possessed. With this space, Dibatian and the millions of experts moved again, closely chasing after the demons. The demons wanted to fight as they retreated. The people of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes would use this opportunity to ruthlessly attack the demons. In an instant, a large number of figures streaked across the sky, traversing through the 12th layer of hell. All of them were heading in the same direction. They were all heading toward the entrance of the 13th layer of hell. Every layer of hell was like a large world in the 33 heavens. It was incomparably vast. Based on the speed of the experts, it would take them a long time to reach the entrance of the 13th layer of hell. In addition, because everyone was fighting as they moved, this time was greatly lengthened. At this time, in Lu Jingyun's space, a large number of figures were constantly recovering from their injuries. Du Xiaofu was the same. His entire body was wrapped in a dense and vigorous energy, looking incomparably mysterious. The strange and dazzling light sprinkled down like divine radiance. The four primordial laws of origin mixed with the power of the great Tao constantly intertwined and collided, creating new changes. Du Xiaofu had stepped into the void path realm for many years. His cultivation had also stepped into the second layer from the first layer at the beginning, condensing the law to trace the path, transforming the law to develop the path, and carrying the path with the body. These three layers were all extraordinary, and they advanced layer by layer. There was a great difference between them and the ordinary immortal and meditative realms. Condensing the law to trace the path was to use the power of the four primordial laws to trace the origin of the laws and produce the rhythm of the path. Transforming the law to develop the path. The origin of the laws was perfect, and the rhythm of the path was natural. Tracing back to the origin of the great Tao was similar to the cultivation of the meditative realm. Carrying the path with the body was to break through the void path realm, break through the shackles of the great Tao, and achieve the body of carrying the path. At that time, it would be a brand new world that could truly create the great Tao. Du Xiaofu was now in the transforming the law to develop the path. As the name implied, this process was to rely on the rhythm of the four primordial laws to constantly refine the origin of the great Tao, coexisting and fusing with the world. When all of this was completed, Du Xiaofu could use the origin of the great Tao to freely evolve the four primordial laws. It would not be like before, where he needed to rely on the origin of the laws of the world or the origin of the laws that he cultivated himself. After reaching perfection in the transforming the path, he himself represented the supreme great Tao, and all the laws could be grasped at his fingertips. At that time, his power would be boundlessly terrifying. Huff, huff, huff. Du Xiaofu slightly closed his eyes, feeling the unparalleled power constantly flowing through his body. His entire person was immersed in a mysterious state. Time flew by quickly, and the scene around the purple-robed youth gradually changed even more. And such a change quickly alarmed many experts in this space. Senior Master Du, this is Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the rest of the meditative experts opened their eyes and looked in the direction of Du Xiaofu. Their eyes were somewhat stunned. They had suffered a blow from the desolate fiend devil general, but under the situation where Du Xiaofu had gathered the power of many experts, they had managed to preserve their lives. After such a long time of recovery, there was a certain improvement. In their shocked gazes, they could see that the current Du Xiaofu had the form of a world evolving around him, as though it was real. In this world, all matter existed. Space churned, time flowed, and life was born. It was extremely magical. Even if the meditative experts used their primordial spirits to spy on it, they felt that everything was extremely real, as though there was really a world condensed and formed by Du Xiaofu. However, Lu Jingyun and the rest knew in their hearts that this was absolutely impossible. With Du Xiaofu's cultivation, it was impossible for him to do this. The only ones who could truly create a real world were those in the imageless realm. Even the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, who was a carrier of the Tao, could not do it. What a terrifying comprehension ability and talent this fellow has. He actually reached such a level again. This is a scene evolved from the power of the great Tao. Although it cannot be compared to a real big world, it already has a certain embryonic form and charm. There is hope for the Tao. There is hope for the Tao. An old man in the third meditative realm from the 33 heavens muttered. His old eyes were wide open, and he could not help but tremble in excitement at the end of his sentence. Using the power of the 4 primordial laws to transcend the truth-severing stage and step into the void path, it turns out that it is so powerful. For us, although we stand at the top of all living creatures, we have no hope of attaining the Tao in our entire lives. This is where the difference lies. Following that, another old man let out a long sigh and said such words, causing many people in the surroundings to feel a little disappointed. Just as he said, everything that Du Xiaofu displayed outside his body was derived from the power of the great Tao. Everything in the world was originally carried by the great Tao. This situation was not difficult to achieve, and it was even less difficult for the many meditative realm experts present. However, the world that Du Xiaofu condensed contained everything that could be seen in the world. Time, space, matter, soul, everything that could be expected was there. Based on this point, many experts were unable to be compared to Du Xiaofu. None of them had grasped the 4 primordial laws at the same time, so the form of the world that they evolved was definitely lacking. It was precisely because of this that their pursuit of the Tao in their entire lives was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It was a goal that was practically impossible to achieve. However, it was a different situation for Du Xiaofu. He possessed a cultivation in the void Tao, so if he wanted to truly take that step, then he only had to give it some time, and it would absolutely come naturally. Such a strong contrast made many of the people present sigh inexplicably. The gap between people was really too big. They had lived for countless years, yet they had to watch a junior who had only cultivated for a few thousand years easily surpass everyone. This was a distressing yet extremely honorable thing. Chapter 29-28. Martial Uncle Du's strength is going to increase greatly again. When he finishes his cultivation this time, I'm afraid his strength won't be lower than an ordinary third-stage meditative realm cultivator. Hearing the voices of the surrounding people, Long Falt's eyes stared at Du Xiaofu's body without moving and said as such. However, such words did not arouse any reaction from the crowd, because this was already something that could be imagined. Killing his way into the 18 levels of hell is also quite a bit of training. In this process, Martial Uncle Du has already experienced a huge round of training. No matter if it was the battle with the Blood Ancestor, the attack from the desolate demonic general, or the tempering in the broken seals, I'm sure he has gained a lot of enlightenment. All these experiences have become the foundation for his enlightenment. I have a feeling that Martial Uncle Du will enter a higher realm after this trip to the 18 levels of hell. Lu Jingyun muttered softly, but his words were clearly heard by all the experts. The changes that Du Xiaofu experienced were not without foundation. The continuous battles in the 18 levels of hell, in addition to the super strong collisions he experienced, were all great rewards. Let's wait and see. I'm afraid that the Yu Qing Divine Emperor will come out of seclusion soon. Everyone, don't be idle. Go and recover. The battle outside still needs us. An expert from the 33 heavens said. The others nodded. Then, many of them retreated far away and began to recover. No one paid too much attention to Du Xiaofu. The battle outside still needed their help. The experts from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were still fighting. They could not afford to waste too much time. The space fell into silence again. Only a large amount of energy was boiling and dancing. Lu Jingyun did not immediately return to heal. Instead, he released the power of his primordial spirit and went outside to observe the situation. However, what surprised him was that the devil race was actually retreating. However, after careful observation, he realized that the demons were not being defeated. Instead, they were retreating while fighting. It was obvious that they had other plans. Lu Jingyun couldn't help but frown at this situation. Looks like the real war is coming. I wonder where Father and Uncle Xiaolong are right now. How are their arrangements going? Lu Jingyun keenly sensed that once the demons retreated to a certain place, a terrifying battle would ensue. At that time, everyone in the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds would face a great test. Many lives would perish in the 18 levels of hell. After all, this was the territory of the demon race. They absolutely could not underestimate the strength of the demon race. Lu Jingyun also thought of his father, Lu Xiaoyu, and his uncle Xiaolong, dragon god Long Xian. The two of them had been planning this since many years ago. It was all for the sake of fighting the devil race and finally killing the devil ancestor. At this time, they must have made a lot of arrangements and laid down a lot of monstrous means. When the final battle of the 18 layers of hell began, the two of them would definitely appear and join up with the rest of them. Is the demonic ancestor really undying? Is there really no one in the world who can kill him? Lu Jingyun thought in his heart. Then, he changed his mind. He cast his gaze on Du Xiaofu on the other side. He clearly knew that an important part of his father's plan was this Uncle Master Du, who was much, much younger than him. It could be said that if he wanted to kill the demonic ancestor, it had to be Uncle Master Du. I hope everything will go smoothly and we can successfully kill the demonic ancestor. Lu Jingyun muttered under his breath. Then, he stopped thinking about it. Like everyone else, he gently closed his eyes and continued to adjust his breathing. Everyone was quietly healing their injuries. Among them, Du Xiaofu's body was emitting the biggest movement. The world outside his body was constantly rotating, releasing a strange power. Along with it, a peculiar aura descended. This aura was different from the aura of a powerhouse. Instead, it had the aura of nature. This charm was incomparably compatible with the Great Tao. It was close to nature. Du Xiaofu's Great Tao origin energy was emitting. Following this situation, it became more and more vigorous. Cultivating in the meditative realm was to pursue the Great Tao origin energy in order to achieve perfection. Only with such a foundation could one attack the Tao-bearing realm. If one wanted to break free from the shackles of the world, one had to first understand it and then find a way to break it. The greatest thing in the world was the Great Tao. The power of life was very weak in front of it. Wanting to break through the Tao-bearing realm with one's strength was no different from a fool's dream. Now, Du Xiaofu was walking on the path of condensing the Great Tao origin energy. Time passed rapidly in this space. Du Xiaofu also maintained this state. This was a space formed by many kinds of laws. Time was accelerated several hundred times. One day in the outside world was close to half a year here. It was much more ferocious than Du Xiaofu's original desolate ancient space. It was also because of this that while Du Xiaofu's aura was rapidly rising, the situation outside hadn't changed much. Under the leadership of Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, and the others, the several million powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds chased closely behind the demons, constantly attacking them. It was obvious that the demons were at an absolute disadvantage. They didn't dare to stop, otherwise they would have to face another huge slaughter. The final result would be the demons' defeat. However, Dongli Chihuang, Chen Yan, and the three demon generals didn't reveal the slightest bit of worry. Instead, they methodically commanded the countless demons to fight. In many cases, they separated from the powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds upon contact, and then continued to flee. In this way, not only could they delay the footsteps of those outside, they could also ensure that the demons wouldn't suffer great losses. It seems that these demons really do want to stall for time. Di Batian exchanged a blow with the blood god demon general, and then exchanged a few blows with him. Then, he saw the blood god demon general retreat again. The demons' intentions were obvious. They wanted to slow them down, and their goal was to stall for time. They were likely buying time for the demon ancestor to recover. We're not in a hurry. That brat Xiaoyu must have thought of this. We only need to pursue with all our strength and not deliberately pursue the greatest victory. We didn't enter the 18 levels of hell to fight a decisive battle. Donghuang Taixian nodded and said to Di Batian. After they received Lu Xiaoyou's message, they entered the 18 levels of hell. The instructions they received were the same as the powerhouses of the 33 heavens. They didn't need to fight with their lives on the line. The most important thing was to preserve their strength. One could imagine that Lu Xiaoyu must have other arrangements. The true decisive battle still needed time to brew. Otherwise, if he and Xiaolong came here, why would they fear a few injured demon generals? And in the end, Lu Xiaoyu himself would definitely descend upon this place. Thus, Donghuang Taixian wasn't in a hurry. He would play with the demons for a while, because when the critical moment arrived, some signs would inevitably appear. Who cares? Let's kill to our heart's content first. Didn't the demons want to fight while fleeing? This way, we'll be able to suppress them even more. One of the experts beside Di Batian spat out and said, "That's true. Although we don't have to deliberately pursue victory, it's absolutely good if we can kill a few more demons." Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian looked at each other and smiled. Then, they instantly sped up and chased after the demon army. They didn't just focus on attacking the three demon generals. Instead, they took advantage of the time when the demons retreated to kill a large number of other demon experts. Under the suppression of the two's terrifying strength, the demons weren't a match at all. Just a single attack was enough to crush a large number of them into nothingness. Damn it! This scene was quickly discovered by Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yan. They couldn't help but curse. They only hated that they weren't strong enough and couldn't stop the two powerhouses. But when they saw all this, they really didn't have a good way to deal with it. Unless they let the three demon generals fight with all their strength and restrain Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian, they wouldn't be able to act wantonly. Otherwise, after a few levels of hell, there wouldn't be many left of the millions of demons. Those were half-step Dao realm experts. How could they be considered as killing someone? It was more like they were harvesting wheat. It's better to let the three demon generals work harder. When we go a few levels down and gather more people, we'll kill all these creatures. Chun Yan's eyes were gloomy, and he gnashed his teeth in hatred. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were truly terrifying. If it weren't for the fact that they wanted to buy time for their lord to fuse with his soul, they would have retreated with all their strength and gathered more people to fight again. Let's just delay them for a while. If there's really no other way, we'll retreat first and let the three demon generals bring up the rear. We can't let them charge directly to the 17th level of hell. As long as they reach the 14th or 15th level, our powerhouses will rush over. At that time, it'll be the same to stop them. Dongli Chihuang thought for a moment and said, if they wanted to delay the people of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds, perhaps they didn't have to fight on the 12th level of hell. If they went a few levels down, there would be plenty of opportunities to stop them. All right, let's do that. Chun Yin couldn't help but nod when he heard this. Then, he issued an order to all the demons. Immediately after, the three demon generals moved with all their strength and restrained Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian. The other demons retreated with all their strength and headed toward the entrance of the 13th level of hell. It was still a chase, but this time, Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian couldn't attack the weaker demons. Since the demons were retreating at full speed, it wasn't easy for the powerhouses to chase after them. As time continued to pass, the millions of people finally arrived at a broken seal. Everyone had seen this seal many times. It was a terrifying thing that the great god Pango had set up in ancient times to suppress the demon ancestor's soul. However, as the demon ancestor was resurrected and entered the 18th level of hell, the terrifying seal was destroyed layer by layer, resulting in the current scene. Although the seal was broken, it still retained an extremely powerful aura. Hellfire raged and burned fiercely within it. The demons, 3,000 boundless worlds, and all the powerhouses of the 33 heavens rushed in and entered the hellfire. Nearly 10 million figures were directly engulfed by the boundless flames. In Lu Jingyun's independent space, no one cared about how much time had passed. They were all wholeheartedly focused on their cultivation. This was especially true for Du Xiaofu, who didn't have such a concept. At this moment, the power outside his body became even more vigorous. The strange world became even larger, and there were thousands of scenes in it. It was extremely beautiful. If it weren't for the fact that he was in the meditative state, he would have thought that all of this was real. Although Du Xiaofu didn't know how long he had spent cultivating this time. In fact, in the 12th level of hell, the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds powerhouses had chased the demons for several years. During this time, hundreds of years had quietly passed. Walala, as Du Xiaofu cultivated, the strange world kept spinning. Everything in the world revolved around him. He was the supreme god of this world, and no one could compare to him. At the same time, all things in the world form released a strange energy, which then condensed and gathered together, finally turning into a vast river that rushed into Du Xiaofu's body. This was the power of the great Tao's origin. It was all absorbed into his body and hidden in the dark. Du Xiaofu's body surged with a fierce power that was incomparably terrifying. It should be over soon. At this time, Lu Jingyun and the others who were sitting cross-legged in the distance woke up one after another and opened their eyes. Everyone looked in the direction of Du Xiaofu, wanting to see his condition. After hundreds of years of recovery, most people's strength had reached a perfect state, and some people had even faintly improved. Should we wait for Uncle Master Du, or go out and fight the demons now? Lu Ro's red lips parted slightly as she looked at Lu Jingyun and asked, "Let's wait a little longer. Uncle Master Du should be here soon," Lu Jingyun said without looking at his sister. After that, everyone stopped talking and continued to stare at Du Xiaofu. Under everyone's gaze, the changes in Du Xiaofu's body continued. Not long after, all of this became even more mysterious and unpredictable. Everything in the independent world emitted a strange energy, which then gathered into a huge river and poured into Du Xiaofu's body like a long dragon. As time continued to pass, all matter began to collapse. Terrifying energy surged and shook, completely enveloping Du Xiaofu within it, causing his entire body to be submerged in an ocean of energy. This sea of energy kept shrinking, and its power slowly faded. Lu Jingyun and the others knew that all of this had been swallowed by Du Xiaofu and returned to his body. Sizzle. The sea of energy surged and slowly shrank. Finally, it disappeared completely, revealing Du Xiaofu's existence. The purple-robed young man sat cross-legged in the void with his eyes closed. Phew! He exhaled a long breath of turbid air from his mouth, causing the entire space to tremble. Swoosh! Then, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly opened, and two bright rays of light penetrated the space as if they were solid, striking two black holes. "I've finally recovered." Du Xiaofu opened his mouth and muttered. Feeling the power in his body, he could not help but smile. At the same time, he was pleasantly surprised. This trip to the 18 levels of hell and the continuous battles had allowed him to gain a lot, and his understanding of the power of the Great Path had reached a new level. His cultivation had also become more stable, and his mastery of the second level of the Void Path, Tao transformation technique, had also become more and more proficient. Most importantly, the improvement in his cultivation had brought about a great increase in his strength. Du Xiaofu had a feeling that even if he were to face an ordinary third-stage meditative realm expert, he would still be able to fight with all his might. Of course, people like Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, and Long Su, who were at the peak of the third stage of meditative realm, were not included. Although Du Xiaofu was confident, he was not arrogant to such an extent. He knew very well that he was still far from these people in terms of strength, let alone the realm of enlightenment. However, his advantage was also very obvious, and that was that he did not have a huge bottleneck. As long as his comprehension reached a certain level, his cultivation would naturally increase, and surpassing everyone was only a matter of time. Why are you all staring at me like that? Du Xiaofu rubbed his nose and realized that everyone in the space was looking at him. Those gazes seemed to be staring at something strange, causing him to feel a little uncomfortable. Du Xiaofu could not help but suppress the thoughts in his heart, then raised his head and asked, "How's the situation outside?" The thing that concerned him the most at the moment was still the battle in the 18 levels of hell. Lu Jingyun did not hide anything and immediately told Du Xiaofu everything he had found out. After a simple explanation, Du Xiaofu quickly understood the devil race's intentions. Their idea is not bad, but we can't just watch the devil race fight and retreat. Du Xiaofu's eyes were burning as he said, "Aren't they trying to buy time for the devil ancestor to recover? Even if they can't stop the devil ancestor, they can't let the devil race fight too easily." As Du Xiaofu spoke, his eyes suddenly focused and shot out a piercing cold. Grandmaster is leading people in pursuit. It won't be that easy for the devil race to retreat. Lu Jingyun nodded and said, Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian naturally understood the devil race's intentions. They had been constantly chasing, and the devil race had been fighting and retreating at the same time. They were facing a huge obstacle. Everyone should have recovered by now. Let's go out. Du Xiaofu waved his arm and said to the many powerhouses around him, the powerhouses of the 3,000 boundless domains and the 33 heavens will join forces to fight. We can still continue to sweep through for a while. After saying that, Lu Jingyun opened the exit of the space. Everyone rushed out and landed in front of the experts outside with great momentum. Chapter 29-29. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others left the isolated space and entered the broken seal that led to the 13th level of hell. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian led the experts from the 3,000 universes and the 33 heavens. Even though they were surrounded by endless flames, they still attacked the demons from time to time. Violent and domineering energy stirred up the sea of fire, causing the broken seal to shake uncontrollably. When Du Xiaofu and the others appeared, many experts surrounded them. Boss, Dad, Brother Jingyun, Yu Qing Divine Emperor. Many experts came forward and stared at Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others. Everyone has almost recovered. Next, let's let the demons have a good time. Du Xiaofu's eyes burned brightly as he stared at the many demon race members who were fleeing in panic. At the same time, he glanced at Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian and felt a little surprised. Du Xiaofu had long known that these two experts were half-step to the carrier of Tao Realm, but Du Xiaofu hadn't expected them to be able to suppress the three demon generals. This was really beyond his expectations. Normally, the three demon generals were at the carrier of Tao Realm. Even if their strength was greatly reduced, they were definitely not people who could be defeated by ordinary people. It seemed that Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian were too strong. At the very least, they were much stronger than he had imagined. Senior brother's master's strength is really terrifying, Du Xiaofu murmured in his heart. His respect for Di Batian rose again. Di Batian's terrifying combat strength was probably not much weaker than senior brother Lu Xiaoyu himself. With the presence of Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian, the following battles in the 18 levels of hell would definitely be much easier. Unlike before, whenever they encountered experts like the Blood Ancestor and the three demon generals, Du Du Xiaofu and the others would fall into an extremely passive situation and face life-or-death situations at all times. However, Du Xiaofu was also very clear in his heart that there were definitely powerful demons in the 18 layers of hell. Perhaps it wasn't as simple as just the 3 demon generals, and if a few more of those experts came, the situation would become grim again. Senior brother definitely has the corresponding arrangements for these matters, so there's no need for me to worry too much. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up as he thought of this. Everything was arranged by senior brother Lu Xiaoyu. These experts from the 3,000 sectors must have been instructed by him to enter the 18 levels of hell. Therefore, there was no need for him to worry too much at the moment. For Du Xiaofu, his first priority was to raise his cultivation level. After that, he would lead the experts to continue pushing their way through the 18 levels of hell until they could no longer advance any further. It might not be easy for the devil race to retreat with ease. Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up, and he gazed at Dongli Qihuang, Chen Yin, the 3 demon generals, and the others who were ceaselessly descending through the hell flames. He waved his arm and shouted loudly, "The hell flames are a good battlefield. Fellow Taoists, leave a portion of you behind to protect the eternal realm experts. Kill the rest with me." As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, his figure shot out violently, and he charged directly towards Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin. Kill. Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the others at the meditative realm exchanged glances, and then they instantly flashed down and charged towards the devils. On the other hand, most of the experts from the 33 heavens and 3,000 sectors didn't move. The hell flames were extremely dangerous to eternal realm experts, and they required the protection of meditative realm experts to pass through safely. However, to the experts from these 2 worlds, there were already close to 400 people in the meditative realm. They only needed to leave a small portion of them to lead the many eternal realm experts, and the rest could fight. Just as Du Xiaofu had said, the Broken Seal was a good battlefield. The devil race also needed to protect a large number of eternal realm experts to pass through. They were already at a disadvantage, and now they had to face the attacks of Du Xiaofu and the others, which made it even harder for them to protect their left and right. Damn Du Xiaofu! Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin quickly realized Du Xiaofu's intention, and they couldn't help but curse out loud. However, there was nothing they could do, and they could only brace themselves to fight. Leave the 3 demon generals to the 2 of us, and they'll immediately become mere decorations. They won't be of any use at all. Donghuang Taixian said with a smile as he blocked the 3 demon generals with Di Batian. Originally, with the 3 of them, the devil race had an absolute advantage. However, this advantage was naturally restricted with the arrival of Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian. They couldn't provide any help to the devil race at all. Dongli Qihuang, Chen Yin, fight with me. Du Xiaofu walked through the boundless flames with the purple-gold heavenly palace in his hand. His hair and purple robe fluttered as he pointed at Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin and shouted loudly. He felt that the great Tao origin energy was surging endlessly, and the 4 primordial laws were moving at the same time. They circulated endlessly, brewing a violent and domineering force that swept towards the 2 opposite him. The surrounding space of flames was greatly affected, and it was as if it had frozen. The terrifying power was directed at the Eastern Flame Scarlet Phoenix and Chen Yin, making it difficult for them to dodge. Du Xiaofu, since you want to die, we'll send you on your way. Chen Yan's gaze focused as he looked at the violet-robed young man that was charging towards him, and he spoke coldly. The 2 of us have been in the 18 levels of hell for many years, and our strength can't be compared to the past. This time, we'll absolutely not let you escape. Dongli Qihuang's face became savage as he stared at Du Xiaofu, while killing intent surged from his entire body. They'd already recovered their strength to the 3rd level of meditative realm, so they were naturally much stronger than when they fought Du Xiaofu. Both of them had awakened their ancient memories, so their strength recovered naturally. They believed that when they faced Du Xiaofu this time, it would absolutely be impossible for them to be completely suppressed by him like in the past. No matter how abnormal Du Xiaofu was, no matter how outstanding his natural talent was, and no matter how terrifying his cultivation speed was, he would absolutely be unable to compare to the two of them. Why speak so much nonsense? Come and fight. Du Xiaofu shouted coldly, and an extremely dazzling ray of sword light responded to Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin. This ray of sword light carried a peerlessly sharp aura, and it seemed capable of splitting the heavens and the earth apart as it assaulted them. Kill. When facing such a sword strike, Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin didn't speak any further, and they instantly moved to meet it head-on. Both of them instantly collided, and a terrifying battle erupted. Presently, Du Xiaofu's strength was already on par with the two of them, and he actually didn't fall into a disadvantaged position when fighting the two of them by himself. Such an outcome was rather surprising to the two devil attendants as well. On the other side, the battle between Di Batian, Donghuang Taixin, and the three devil generals was extremely terrifying as well. The strength of half-step enlightened realm experts was truly world-shaking. The damaged seal was struck to the point it became even more damaged, and boundless tongues of flames roared through the surging energy as if they intended to devour everything. It won't be so easy for the demons to retreat so easily. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and at least 200 other meditative realm experts stepped into the air and charged towards the millions of demons. At this time, the other side's meditative realm experts needed to protect a large number of immortals, and they couldn't spare too many people to deal with them. As such, the situation immediately revealed a side that caused the demons to despair. Facing the surprise attack of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, they were completely in a passive situation. They could only stick together and defend, stubbornly defending their formation. Lu Jingyun and the others' attacks descended, and the rumbling sounds were incessant, all of them attacking the weak points of the demon's formation. Ka. As time passed, cracks began to appear in many areas of the demon's defense. A few more waves, and the demons will definitely suffer heavy casualties. A powerhouse from the 33 heavens saw this scene and said with a chuckle, as long as they broke through the demon's defense and exposed a large number of immortals to the terrifying hellfire, there would definitely be many casualties. Such an outcome was something the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds would naturally be happy to see. With such thoughts in mind, everyone attacked with all their might. As expected, under everyone's efforts, that powerful defense with a Qi-La sound was torn open, and at least 100 immortals were swept out and wrapped in terrifying flames. Zzz, these were no ordinary flames, but were set up by the great god Pengu in ancient times, used to suppress the primordial spirit of the demon ancestor, and it was absolutely terrifying. Even though the power of the seal was greatly reduced, it was still not something normal warriors could touch. After these demons touched the flames, in addition to the 33 heavens powerhouses attacking from the side, over 100 of them were quickly incinerated into piles of ash. Quick, defend with all your might. We can't let them break through our defenses again. A devil in the meditative forgetting realm shouted anxiously. Lu Jingyun and the others' actions were to exhaust the demon's battle strength, and at the same time, the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds were completely unharmed. For the demons, this was really too much of a loss. There was no need to hesitate. Many meditative realm demons instantly activated the power in their bodies and used all their strength to set up an even stronger defense. It had to be said that these demons were indeed not ordinary. In a situation where their numbers were not inferior to Lu Jingyun and the others, they were actually able to tightly defend the formation. Lu Jingyun and the others' attacks continued to be earth-shattering, but this time, it was extremely difficult to shake this kind of defense. It's just a last-ditch struggle. No matter how strong the demon's defense is, there will be a day when it will be broken through. Above, millions of immortals from the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds, as well as 200 to 300 meditative realm powerhouses, all looked at the situation below with shining eyes. They were extremely happy to see such a situation. The demons were like turtles, and they could only passively take a beating without being able to make any counterattack. In this way, it was absolutely only a matter of time to break through their defense. If this hellfire is all the way, It's only a matter of time before the demons are all wiped out, a powerhouse said. These words caused many people to nod in agreement. Everyone knew very well in their hearts that although the demons were in an absolute state of defense, they could not maintain a complete formation forever. Once Lu Jingyun and the others broke through the defense, it would naturally cause many immortals to die. And if the hellfire was endless, it wouldn't be impossible for it to wipe out the entire demon race. Fortunately, the powerhouses from the 3,000 boundless worlds rushed over in time. Otherwise, at this time, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens would be the ones being beaten passively. Someone from the 33 heavens said with a sigh. Yes, all of this must have been arranged by the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds. Since he allowed us to enter the 18 levels of hell, he definitely won't let us die in vain. Soon, another person spoke out in such a manner. At this time, everyone from the 33 heavens felt as if they had been given a new lease on life. During the battle with the Blood Ancestor, they had been worried for Du Xiaofu and the other meditative realm powerhouses. In addition, Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin, together with the 3 demon generals, had appeared, creating an unimaginable pressure on the millions of powerhouses. There was no doubt that if the powerhouses from the 3,000 boundless worlds hadn't appeared in time, most of them would have been killed or injured. Most of them would have died. Whether it was the Blood Ancestor or the 3 demon generals, to them, they were monstrously terrifying existences. They were simply not people they could fight against. However, after thinking about it for a moment, it was clear that the powerhouses from the 3,000 boundless worlds had appeared at this critical time because all of this had been arranged by the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaoyu. Since he dared to let millions of people from the 33 heavens enter the 18 levels of hell and come into direct contact with the demons, he must have his own confidence. He definitely wouldn't send them to their deaths. That would be worthless. The 13th level of hell is not far away. I hope we can kill more demons here, muttered a powerhouse as he looked at the battle below. Under their gazes, Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qihuang, and Chen Yin, the 2 demon attendants, fought fiercely. All 3 of them were at the 3rd level of the meditative realm. In the past, they were existences that could shake the entire 33 heavens. As they fought in the endless flames of hell, all 3 of them did their best to suppress each other. As they continued to fight, the 2 demon attendants were incomparably astonished. It wasn't until they fought many times that they truly reacted. It turned out that Du Xiaofu was much more terrifying than they'd imagined. He actually hadn't fallen into a disadvantageous position when the 2 of them joined forces. This kid really is abnormal enough. If the 2 of us hadn't joined forces, I'm afraid it would really be difficult for us to defeat him. Chen Yin gritted his teeth and fought Du Xiaofu with all his might as he spoke hatefully. He really couldn't imagine how Du Xiaofu's strength could break through so quickly. It was simply unbelievable. If I'd known earlier that he would be like this, I would have asked my lord to directly suppress him when he entered the 33 heavens. It wouldn't have caused so much trouble now. Dongli Qihuang also felt the roots of his teeth itch. It could be said that he hated Du Xiaofu to the bone. Du Xiaofu's strength had grown too quickly, completely beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. Even if Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin were powerhouses from ancient times, they still found it hard to imagine. They had boundless regret in their hearts. Why didn't they give this kid a final blow when the great calamity of the devil religion in Shun Wu world ended and directly cut off his chance of rebirth? Or they could have killed him early after he entered the 33 heavens. That way, he wouldn't have become a huge problem for the devil race today. However, this wasn't the most important thing. What worried Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin the most was that once Du Xiaofu grew to the ultimate land, he would be an unimaginable threat to the devil ancestor. Kill. Du Xiaofu didn't care about what the 2 of them were thinking. He shouted sternly and slashed repeatedly with the broadsword in his hand. Terrifying sword rays pierced through the heavens and the earth, and one after another, they attacked the other party. On the other side, Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian joined forces to fight the 3 devil generals. Although they couldn't quickly suppress the 3 devil generals, the 2 of them were exceedingly powerful and definitely had the upper hand. Meanwhile, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the other powerhouses of the Oblivion realm tore a hole in the Devil Race's defense after their relentless attacks. Die for me. Taking advantage of this opportunity, a powerhouse of the second level of the Oblivion realm roared and slashed a ferocious sword ray into the Devil Race's crowd through the hole. Suddenly, a series of shrill cries rang out. Blood and flesh flew everywhere as a large number of Devil Race members were killed. How could an Undying Realm powerhouse resist the attack of a Oblivion Realm powerhouse? There were even more people who didn't even have the time to scream before they died in a formless manner. Quick, reinforce the defense. Some Oblivion Realm powerhouses of the Devil Race cried out in shock. They rushed madly to the hole in the Devil Race's defense and reformed the powerful defense. They didn't dare to relax at all. If they weren't careful, a large number of powerhouses would die. The Oblivion Realm powerhouse's attack just now had killed thousands of Undying Realm powerhouses. Continue to attack. I'd like to see how long these Devil Race members can hold on. A Oblivion Realm powerhouse from the 3,000 Boundless Worlds shouted coldly as he pointed at the Devil Race's defense formation. To them, they didn't feel any pressure at all. However, the Devil Race had to maintain their full strength at all times. This was also a huge drain on their strength. As long as they could break through the Devil Race's defense again and again, the battle would definitely be fruitful. We have to hold on. As long as we break through this seal and enter the 13th layer of hell, it'll be much easier. An expert from the demon race said. Passing through the flames of hell had become a huge challenge to them. It brought them endless pressure. Everyone felt that the journey had become incomparably long. They all wanted to enter the 13th layer of hell as soon as possible. And if they went down a few more layers, they would receive strong reinforcements from the Devil Race. Only then would they have a real battle with the Devil Race. It was under such circumstances that the Devil Race, 3,000 Boundless Worlds, and 33 skies all went down together. After 2 more rounds of defense, the Devil Race finally broke through the boundless flames of hell and entered the 13th layer of hell. Chapter 29:30. With the arrival of nearly 10 million experts, the 13th level of hell also welcomed a huge commotion. The power of many experts intertwined together, like a meteorite falling from the sky, tearing apart the heavens and splitting the earth. In that instant, the people of Demon Clan were like drowning people grabbing onto a life-saving straw, as they hurriedly took a few breaths of air. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the other experts continued to attack them, causing these Demon Clan to be under immense pressure. They could die at any time. When they entered the 13th level of hell, they finally recovered and lost all thoughts of fighting back. Du Xiaofu, one day, I will make you die without a burial ground. After Dongli Qihuang and Shan Yin exchanged a blow with Du Xiaofu, they instantly retreated and flew into the distance. In addition, the Blood God Demon General, Ming Luo Demon General, and Desolate Fiend Demon General also shook off Debatian and Donghuang Taixian and led millions of Demon Clan S to quickly escape. Right now, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless world were too powerful and ferocious. They did not dare to fight and escape, as this would only cause the other party to attack even more ferociously. It was obvious that with such a huge disparity in strength, the ones who would suffer in the end would definitely be the Demon Clan. If you have the ability, then just come at me. What are you running for? Facing the words of the 2 great demon attendants, Du Xiaofu could not help but sneer, and replied as such. He was very clear about what the 2 of them were thinking. They were just spouting nonsense. At most, they would wait for the reinforcements of the Demon Clan to arrive, and then fight against the many experts on his side. However, Du Xiaofu was not afraid of this. Since he had to make a trip to the 18th level of hell, he had to at least make a big fuss and let the Demon Clan suffer. Humph! Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Dongli Qihuang coldly snorted and did not say anything else. Kill! We can't let the Demon Clan escape so easily. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds were all overjoyed. Countless people roared out loud as they raised their swords and sabers and charged forwards. However, unlike in the 12th layer of hell, this time, the devil race did not dare to stop and deal with them. The attacks of Lu Jingyun and the others in the Broken Seal made many people's hearts turn cold. Under such circumstances, the nearly 10 million people continued to charge towards the entrance of the 14th layer of hell. However, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixin, and the others clearly wouldn't let the devils escape so easily. Their half-step Dao realm and meditative realm experts unleashed their full strength and slaughtered a large number of sempiternal realm experts along the way. When they saw such losses, Dongli Qihuang, Chen Yin, and the 3 demon generals felt powerless because they were utterly unable to stop all of this. When the entrance to the 14th level of hell was in sight, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Dragon Fault, and the others who were charging forward suddenly froze and looked at each other. Under their senses, the feeling that appeared in the previous levels of hell surfaced once again. There's also an expert hibernating in this level. Du Xiaofu's heart became solemn once again. This feeling that had suddenly appeared was not unfamiliar. It was as if there was some kind of terrifying existence in the dark, and the faint fluctuations that were emitted caused the hearts of meditative forgetfulness experts like them to palpitate. Unknowingly, that heartbeat and breathing sound resonated with everyone, causing them to panic for no reason. This was definitely not an ability that an ordinary expert could possess. Naturally, it attracted the attention of Du Xiaofu and the others. Martial Ancestor, are you able to find out who the expert hiding in the dark is? Lu Jingyun tilted his head and looked at Di Batian as he voiced his thoughts. He felt that all of this wouldn't escape Di Batian and Donghuang Taishuan's detection. Half-step Dao realm experts were definitely more sensitive to the structure of the 18th level of hell than meditative realm experts. Therefore, Lu Jingyun hoped that Di Batian and Donghuang Taixin could answer their questions. Upon hearing Lu Jingyun's question, the other Forgotten Realm experts turned to look at the 2 top experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds. Seal. The life that you've sensed is real, but it's bound by a terrifying seal and can't move at all. Di Batian didn't hide anything and said directly, Seal. However, such words caused the crowd to become even more puzzled. That's right. Di Batian nodded and said, That's right. Every level of hell is a boundless prison, and it's shrouded by the most terrifying seal in the world. Although the demon ancestor has broken through these seals time and time again to enter the 18th level of hell and find his scattered primordial spirit, the other places are still intact and continue to function as seals. The life force that you've sensed is in such a seal. When he said that, everyone understood what was going on. It turned out that the 18th level of hell was sealed from the inside to the outside, covering almost every part of it. It made sense. If one wanted to seal someone as powerful as the demon ancestor, if there were any loopholes, he could easily escape. The great god Pangu must have thought of this in the ancient times, and naturally wouldn't have allowed such a thing to happen so easily. Du Xiaofu also understood that in recent years, the boundless star field outside the 18th level of hell was almost exhausted, which led to the demon ancestor's primordial spirit breaking through the seal of the 1st level of hell and breaking into the 33 heavens. He then became a demon god and wreaked havoc in the divine martial world. Since there are people that have been sealed, Senior, could you possibly know the identities of those sealed people? Are they experts of the demon clan? Du Xiaofu looked up and looked at Di Batian and Donghuang Taixin again. Before the experts of the 3,000 sectors arrived, they had sensed the existence of these life forms in the 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th levels of hell. Now, the same thing had happened in the 13th level of hell, and everyone couldn't help but be curious. Du Xiaofu and the others wanted to know the origins of these sealed people and why they were still sealed. If they were people of the demon clan, could the demon ancestor not have saved them all along the way? From what I see, these people are probably not experts of the demon clan. Donghuang Taixin thought for a while and said such a sentence. As if he felt that this deduction was not particularly certain, he immediately added, It's just that I can't really determine their origins. The only thing I can be sure of is that the strength of these experts in the seal is probably above the 2 of us. As Donghuang Taixin spoke, he gave Di Batian a look, and the other party nodded. Obviously, Di Batian had the same feeling. Such a result really made Du Xiaofu and the others' hearts tighten fiercely. Earlier, they had inferred that these hidden people were just unwilling to appear and were in a deep sleep. Now it seemed that this was obviously wrong. However, they had also thought that such existences were definitely terrifying. They were most likely in the realm of enlightenment. After Donghuang Taixian and Di Baixin's affirmation, everyone was truly certain. They couldn't help but feel extremely shocked. There are so many realm of enlightenment experts, but we don't know their identities. We can't tell whether they're friends or foes. This is really not a good thing. Du Xiaofu muttered, frowning slightly. If these sealed people were from the demon clan, once they appeared in the future war, they would bring unimaginable trouble to the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes. Du Xiaofu absolutely believed in Jiangxin's methods. It would be too easy for him to save these people. Perhaps he was just too anxious to fuse with his own primordial spirit and didn't have time to care about these experts. In addition, if the sealed existences were all ancient experts of the 33 heavens, then Du Xiaofu couldn't remain calm. If one day they were confirmed to be such experts, he had to do something to help them reappear in the world and break free from the shackles of the 18 levels of hell. Kid, don't be anxious. Let's take it one step at a time. Everything will be revealed one day. You don't have to worry too much about these things. I'm sure that Kid Xiaoyu must be aware of this as well. Let's just wait and see. Di Batian, who was beside Du Xiaofu, suddenly smiled and patted the purple-robed youth on the shoulder. He thought highly of the young man beside him and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. In the future, he would likely become an existence on the same level as his disciple. When he thought of this, Di Batian couldn't help but sigh. He felt both gratified and envious. If it weren't for some special reasons in the 3,000 universes, their great world would have given birth to more realm of enlightenment experts. Lu Xiaoyu wouldn't have been the only one at the peak after so many years. If that were the case, their upcoming battle with the Demon Clan would be much easier with the participation of a large number of realm of enlightenment experts. Forget about these things. Let's focus on hunting down the Demon Clan first. Lu Jingyun muttered to himself for a moment, then raised his gaze and looked ahead. His entire body surged with a terrifying battle intent as he rushed towards the Demon Clan experts in front of him. The other experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes didn't say anything else and rushed towards the entrance of the 14th layer of hell. As for the faint fluctuations in the dark, they no longer paid attention to them. Kill, accompanied by terrifying battle cries, nearly 10 million experts from the Demon Clan, the 33 heavens, and the 3,000 universes whizzed through the space like a hurricane. Just the power they naturally emitted was enough to destroy a large area of space and turn it into a state of chaos. The Demon Clan had suffered a lot during this period, being chased and beaten by many experts along the way. The ones who suffered the most were the Immortal Realm experts. Even though the 2 demon servants, 3 demon generals, and many meditative realm experts fought with all their strength, they still couldn't stop the attacks of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes. This was because Du Xiaofu had too many meditative realm experts on his side. After some of them restrained the Demon Clan experts, the rest could attack without restraint. In such a situation, the Demon Clan fled all the way, rushing towards the entrance of the 14th layer of hell. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, and the other experts led the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes in hot pursuit. Terrifying attacks descended like a tsunami, causing the Demon Clan experts to tremble in fear. Whether it was in the 13th layer of hell, or when they entered the broken seal of the 13th layer of hell, it was the same. Du Xiaofu and the others had no intention of letting the Demon Clan go. They attacked with all their might, causing the Demon Clan to lose a large number of experts. Kill, the massacre of the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes was earth-shattering. Terrifying roars pierced through the clouds, killing everything in their path. In the following period of time, the 14th layer of hell, the 15th layer of hell, and the broken seal between the 14th and 15th layers of hell were all set off a monstrous massacre. At least dozens of years had passed. The Demon Clan was chased all the way, and at least hundreds of thousands of troops were lost. Just like that, Du Xiaofu and the others killed them bit by bit. The casualties were heavy. However, Dongli Chihuang, Chen Yin, and the three demon generals did not dare to stop. The closer they were to the end, the less they had the courage to fight the experts of the 3,000 universes and the 33 heavens. The result of stopping was to die. The aura of the millions of experts from the outside world was like a rainbow, piercing through the sun and moon. Their killing intent was shocking, causing one's scalp to tingle. The experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes were all excited, almost going crazy. The massacre of the demon clan made them feel incomparably carefree, unprecedented. However, such a scene came to an abrupt end when everyone entered the entrance to the 16th layer of hell. The reinforcements of the demon clan have arrived, and several demon generals have appeared. Next will be the most difficult battle we've had since we entered the 18th level of hell. Du Xiaofu's gaze focused fiercely. At this moment, they were within the boundless flames that led to the 16th layer of hell. Through the raging flames, they could see a large number of experts of the demon clan rushing over ferociously, and they were charging towards them. After a preliminary estimate, the innumerable experts that stretched as far as the eye could see numbered in the millions. Moreover, when Dongli Chihuang, Chen Yin, and the others were added together, it was completely not inferior to the number of experts on Du Xiaofu's side. The most terrifying part was that these experts were led by three demon generals. Coupled with a large number of meditative realms, their strength had already surpassed Du Xiaofu's group. These three demon generals won't be able to cause much trouble. Don't worry, we still have reinforcements. Di Batian revealed a cold smile as he gazed at the numerous experts of the demon clan that were flying over swiftly from below. Reinforcements? Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows, but he wasn't too surprised. Perhaps the strength of the 3,000 sectors had yet to be fully displayed, so it was reasonable for reinforcements to arrive. However, Du Xiaofu still had some doubts. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian were the rulers of two of the top worlds in the 3,000 sectors, and they had already reached the most terrifying realm. Even if they had reinforcements, could they be stronger than the three demon generals who had just joined the battle? However, Du Xiaofu didn't voice out his doubts. Since Di Batian was so confident, he naturally had considerable confidence. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered as he watched Dongli Chihuang, Chen Yin, the three demon generals, and the remaining few million immortal realms of the demon clan converge with the experts of the demon clan who were rushing over quickly. Dongli Chihuang and the others heaved a long sigh of relief. Let's fight. Donghuang Taixian suddenly shouted coldly. With a large golden saber in his hand, he directly swooped down to meet the experts of the demon clan. Fight! Du Xiaofu also shouted. The purple-gold heavenly palace in his hand vibrated and struck down with unparalleled power. Only meditative forgetfulness experts can fight here. The others can't fight. Once the battle starts, we can't protect everyone. Let's all enter my space. Lu Jingyun stretched out his hand and waved gently. He opened his independent space and put all the immortal realms into it, leaving only a few hundred meditative forgetfulness experts behind. The hell flame was extremely terrifying, and it was a dangerous place for immortal realms. Without the protection of meditative forgetfulness experts, unimaginable casualties were likely to occur. Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, Du Xiaofu, and Lu Jingyun had to fight the demon clan, so they naturally didn't have much time to take care of everyone. The safest way was to send all of them into the independent space and ensure their safety. Only then could they fight the demon clan with peace of mind. People of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors, what do you think the 18 levels of hell is? Was it his own backyard? How dare you act so presumptuously in the demon clan's territory? The three demon generals, who had just arrived, couldn't help but speak coldly when they saw Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, and Du Xiaofu charging toward them. The auras of these three people were different and extremely terrifying. The first person was surrounded by dense flames that seemed to be able to burn through everything and turn the world into ashes. He released a scorching aura. The second person's limbs were slender, and his elbows and knees were as sharp as blades. Two thin horns swayed on his head, and his bulging eyes stared fiercely at Du Xiaofu and the others. A pair of oily yellow wings flapped gently, and his appearance was like a locust. The third person looked extremely strange. He merely stood there, yet it was difficult for others to see through him. If one didn't look carefully, it would be very difficult to notice his existence. His entire person was like a ghost, unfathomable and unfathomable. The auras of these three demon generals were not any weaker than the Blood God Demon General, Ming Luo Demon General, and Desolation Demon General. Obviously, they had already walked their own Tao. Just by standing in the void, they were enough to affect the rules and order of the great Tao in this area. Crimson Flame Demon General, Fierce Locust Demon General, Duo Yu Demon General. Looking at the three demon generals, Lu Jingyun's eyes flashed as he murmured. He had some understanding of the many demon generals in the primordial era. He could determine their identities from their bodies and appearances. Leave the 6 demon generals to the 2 of us. Once the reinforcements arrive, the demon clan will not be able to stop us. Dibatian shouted. His domineering aura spread out and shook the void. His 10 fingers intertwined rapidly, forming hand seals one after another. Finally, they merged into one and turned into a terrifying swastika that attacked fiercely. Kill! Donghuang Taishuan raised his saber and slashed down. Donghuang Taishuan's saber was so domineering that it seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. It pierced through everything in its path and instantly reached the Blood God Demon General, Ming Luo Demon General, and Desolation Demon General. His attack was actually aimed at the 3 of them at the same time. Such an action made the 3 demon generals laugh coldly. Although the 3 of us have yet to recover from our injuries, we cannot be underestimated. Do you really think that you are still in the Tao Carrier realm at your peak and can fight the 3 of us head-on? The Blood God Demon General said in a chilling voice. Scarlet blood dripped from all over his body, making him look extremely terrifying. Since you want to die, we will fulfill your wish first. Ming Luo Demon General said in a deep voice as he looked at Donghuang Taishuan. Kill these 2 old fellows first. We will kill the rest later. The Desolation Demon General swung his giant axe, splitting the heavens and earth as he slashed down with all his might. In an instant, a terrifying battle broke out between the 3 demon generals and Donghuang Taishuan. Both sides unleashed their full strength and used everything they had to kill each other with their sabers. On the other side, Dibatian was also fighting with the 3 demon generals who had just arrived. His heaven-shaking and earth-shattering handprints slammed down ferociously as he fought with the 3 demon generals. Obviously, the Crimson Flame Demon General, Fierce Locust Demon General, and Duo Yu Demon General had the same plan as the other 3 demon generals. They all wanted to kill Dibatian first. As the 2 strongest people in the 3,000 sectors and the 33 heavens. Once they were defeated, it would be as easy as the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves to deal with Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others. Most importantly, if the 3 demon generals joined forces, it would not be difficult for them to deal with Dibatian and Donghuang Taishuan. It was for this reason that the demon race's plan was so straightforward and simple. The facts were exactly like this. Even though Donghuang Taishuan and Dibatian were strong, they were only able to suppress the 3 demon generals when they joined forces. Now that they were facing the 3 demon generals on their own, they immediately fell into a disadvantageous position and were unable to match them. However, the 2 of them seemed to be fearless. They only cared about fighting with all their strength and were not anxious for their own safety at all. They just tightly restrained the 6 formidable demon generals. Dongli Chihuang, Chun Yin, let's fight. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had already arrived with the heavenly palace of violet gold in hand. He stood on boundless flames while his entire body's vital energy shook and his violet robe fluttered. He pointed his sword at the 2 demon attendants and shouted loudly, Du Xiaofu, let's see how you can escape this time. Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin exchanged glances and spoke fiercely. With the addition of numerous experts from the demon race, they quickly stabilized the situation and occupied the absolute upper hand against the 6 demon generals. In this way, how could the 2 demon attendants be afraid of Du Xiaofu any longer? They howled in unison before their figures suddenly soared into the sky and charged towards Du Xiaofu. At the same time, The vital energy on Dongli Qihuang's body suddenly expanded. Boundless scarlet-red light shot out explosively and pierced through space, causing him to seem like an enormous blood-red sun that emanated dazzling blood-red light. A terrifying force shook amidst this, and it swept towards Du Xiaofu with overwhelming force. For a time, terrifying pressure surged, causing Du Xiaofu's charging figure to suddenly stop, and it was as if he'd suddenly collided into water. On the other side, Chun Yin had already moved as well. Pitch-black devilish chi flowed out from his body, and strands after strands of it seemed like a great river or like a black dragon were connected from his body. These strands of devilish chi were like tentacles that danced about madly, and they assaulted Du Xiaofu successively. Needless to say, Chen Yin and the Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix's current strengths were absolutely terrifying. They really were at the third level of meditative oblivion, and the strength they were able to utilize was extremely powerful. It couldn't be compared to when they were at the Fiend God battle domain. Even if Du Xiaofu's strength had risen greatly now, he had no choice but to converge his full strength when facing their joint forces. Divine Lightning Cauldrons, move! Du Xiaofu didn't dare dally at all, and he directly summoned the 9 Divine Lightning Cauldrons and struck them towards Chen Yin. The 9 cauldrons crushed through space and rumbled, causing the heavens and the earth to tremble. Everywhere they passed, everything was transformed into chaos. Along with the improvement of Du Xiaofu's strength, the 9 violet lightning cauldrons were able to exert even stronger might in his hands. As expected of treasures refined by his senior brother, Lu Xiaoyu, they were still extremely terrifying even in the hands of Du Xiaofu, who was comparable to a cultivator at the third level of meditative oblivion. The 9 cauldrons drew out numerous, perfectly straight lines that dragged monstrous violet lightning behind them, and they collided with Chen Yan's tentacles over and over again. Vast rumbling pierced through the air and resounded incessantly. Myriad swords slash. At the same time, Du Xiaofu let out a long howl as he suddenly raised the broadsword in his hand and slashed down forcefully towards Dongli Qihuang. The blood-red sun that Dongli Qihuang had transformed into emanated boundless pressure, and it caused Du Xiaofu's heart to palpitate slightly. He didn't even give it any thought before he executed a terrifying sword light with the intention of destroying Chen Yan's attack. Rumble. The boundless blood-red sun that Dongli Qihuang had transformed into surged and pressed down madly, while emanating monstrous might that caused the heavens and the earth to collapse, and it caused the terrifying flames in the surroundings to be swept away. Under such circumstances, the blood-red sun and Du Xiaofu's sword light instantly collided. Both of them were boundlessly terrifying. 2 completely different types of energy collided and crushed with each other, causing terrifying explosions to resound. The sword light shook the world while the blood-red sun dominated the sky. Both of them madly consumed and crushed each other, causing numerous markings of the Grand Tao to shoot towards the surroundings while boundless energy shot out violently. In the end, more than half of Dongli Qihuang's attack was dispersed while Du Xiaofu's sword light was dispersed as well, and only shattered energy that covered the sky whistled ferociously as it swept towards the surroundings. At another direction, the 9 violet lightning cauldrons pressed down upon space. Everywhere they passed, everything was crushed into a state of chaos, causing numerous strange traces of chaos to appear, and it was like ink that painted the sky. Du Xiaofu controlled the movements of the 9 cauldrons tightly and blocked Chen Yan's attacks time and time again. Kill. After exchanging blows with Dongli Qihuang, Du Xiaofu stabilized himself as he retreated. His eyes emitted a cold light as he raised the broadsword in his hand and charged out once again, madly attacking with all his might. Facing 2 great demon generals at the same time, he didn't let his guard down at all and gave it his all. The power of the 4 primordial laws shook violently and intertwined with each other. Endless Grand Tao origins surged and spread throughout the heavens and earth, causing one to tremble in fear. I'd better finish off the 2 of you as soon as possible. While fighting, Du Xiaofu separated a strand of his consciousness to check the situation around him. He realized that the situation wasn't looking too good. In particular, Di Batian and Donghuang Taixin were being suppressed by the 3 great demon generals, and were already showing signs of defeat. Chapter 29:31. Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian were powerful, but 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. Moreover, the other side had 6 demon generals, all of whom were powerful cultivators. Because of this, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors were in a dire situation. With the arrival of the demon race's reinforcements, Du Xiaofu and the others were once again in a difficult situation. I can't let the situation go on like this, Du Xiaofu muttered to himself as he observed the situation on the field. Even though his cultivation wasn't enough to compete with the devil general, he still had to go and help a little. He thought of the method he used to deal with the blood ancestor. If he combined the strength of many meditative forgetfulness experts, he might be able to stop a demon general and reduce the pressure on Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian. It should be noted that Du Xiaofu's strength had improved a lot compared to before, so he could withstand more energy. Once he made use of the 8 trigrams, the power of many meditative forgetfulness experts might be able to stop a demon general who had not yet recovered from his injuries. Thinking of this, Du Xiaofu made a decision. He had to suppress Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yin as soon as possible. Only then would he have a chance to share some of the pressure on Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian. Du Xiaofu, let's see how you're going to escape today. Dongli Qihuang and Chan Yin also saw the situation, and they involuntarily revealed a cold smile as they spoke in such a manner. In fact, they were greatly shocked. Du Xiaofu's strength had once again refreshed their understanding of him. This guy's cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. It was unimaginable. No matter if it was Dongli Crimson Phoenix or Chan Yin, they were clearly aware in their hearts that if they fought Du Xiaofu in a one-on-one battle, then they would probably still be easily crushed. However, this was not important. Once either Dibatian or Donghuang Taixian was defeated, 1 or 2 demon generals would be free to kill Du Xiaofu immediately. This guy would not be able to cause any trouble. However, Du Xiaofu did not seem to have any intention of responding to the 2 demon attendants' sarcastic words. He just rolled his eyes at them and said softly, "Losers." These words caused Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix and Chan Yin to choke, and their faces flushed red and turned purple before turning into the color of pig liver. Thousands of years ago, they were unattainable existences in front of Du Xiaofu. Even if the 2 demon attendants' strengths had advanced by leaps and bounds because they'd awakened their ancient memories, they were still losers when compared to Du Xiaofu, and they were like complete and utter pieces of trash. As existences that were renowned for their ferocity during the ancient times and caused countless living beings in the 33 heavens to tremble, how could the 2 demon attendants endure such humiliation? They were even more determined in their hearts that they would definitely kill Du Xiaofu today. At the same time, they would eliminate an enormous calamity for the devil race and eliminate the hatred in their hearts. Du Xiaofu, you must die today. Shen Yin shouted explosively and shouted loudly when facing Du Xiaofu's ridicule. The energy in his entire body shot out madly while monstrous devilish qi surged through space and surged madly towards the 9 divine lightning cauldrons in the surroundings. Clang, 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 clang. The 9 cauldrons suffered an enormous impact and emanated a vast sound. The heavens and the earth shook as they were blasted, flying over and over again. On the other hand, Shen Yin relied on this opening to approach Du Xiaofu step by step with the intention of dealing a terrifying blow to Du Xiaofu. On the other side, Dongli Qihuang had a similar tacit understanding. His entire body was enveloped in a terrifying blood-red radiance as he attacked Du Xiaofu over and over again. Terrifying and ferocious attacks whistled through the sky. Azure Spirit Armor. When he saw the 2 of them attacking with all their strength, Du Xiaofu didn't dally and immediately shouted loudly. A resounding dragon roar emanated from his throat, and it caused the souls of others to tremble and sway. Aowu. Along with the roar of a dragon, an immeasurable amount of green dragon materialized. It curled up in the air and twisted its body crazily. It swept across and destroyed everything in its path. The dragon's tail rose into the sky and fiercely whipped onto the blood-red radiance outside Dongli Qihuang's body. Rumble. An enormous bang resounded through the heavens and the earth, causing the hellfire in the surroundings to emit terrifying howls as it swept back like tidewater and was repelled extremely far away. Chila under Du Xiaofu's dragon tail. Pieces of dragon scales flew off as his flesh and blood exploded, revealing ghastly bone stubble. On the other hand, the Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix's figure was blasted flying, and it drew out a perfectly straight line as it smashed fiercely into the blazing flames of hell before being swallowed up. Such an attack caused Du Xiaofu to suffer a certain degree of injury, but under the effect of the indestructible Xian body, the flesh and blood on the dragon's tail that had exploded squirmed little by little and was constantly recovering. He glanced in the direction where Dongli Chihuang had disappeared. Seeing that the other party didn't appear in time, he couldn't help but turn his gaze to Shen Yin. Du Xiaofu knew that Dongli Chihuang should have suffered some injuries under the impact just now, but it would definitely not affect his continued battle. Kill. Du Xiaofu no longer paid attention to Dongli Chihuang's movements and charged towards Shen Yin. His dragon body suddenly moved, and he disappeared from where he was, launching another round of crazy sweeps. However, it was clear that Shen Yin didn't intend to fight Du Xiaofu head-on. The demonic aura around him surged like waves as he constantly dodged Du Xiaofu's attacks. Boom, 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 boom. Under Du Xiaofu's control, the 9 violet lightning profound cauldrons crushed the boundless space while dragging numerous strands of violet gold divine lightning as they attacked madly. They ceaselessly assaulted Chen Yin from 9 directions at the same time and obstructed his path of retreat. His goal was very simple: to force Shen Yin into a corner and force him to fight. Du Xiaofu didn't want to drag this on at all. Only by getting rid of these 2 great demon attendants early could he have a chance to help Di Batian and Donghuang Taixin. Kill. Shen Yin snorted in the face of Du Xiaofu's relentless attacks. His expression didn't change, and the demonic aura around him surged again, condensing into a huge, pitch-black spear. The spear was cold and eerie, and an incomparable murderous aura flowed on it, blooming with the aura of death. A strong aura of death emanated from the spear, containing an incomparably terrifying power that made one's heart tremble. If an immortal realm expert faced such a spear, he would probably be killed on the spot and die an unnatural death just from the terrifying aura it carried. Such a terrifying weapon attacked as soon as it appeared, instantly breaking through layers of void and arriving in front of Du Xiaofu in an instant. There's a huge gap between the cultivation of the 3rd stage of meditative oblivion. Dongli Chihuang is hiding. You dare to fight me head-on by yourself? These words came out of Du Xiaofu's mouth. His dragon eyes shone with dazzling light. At the same time, a terrifying shout resounded from his mouth, and then the 4 primordial laws moved simultaneously and started circulating madly. The surrounding space was directly filled up by the boundless quintessence energy of the laws, and accompanying it was an extremely terrifying quintessence of the Grand Tao that surged through the sky. Om, 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 Om. After that, an overbearing and terrifying pressure descended, and it instantly pressed down upon the soul like a mountain. The energy of the 4 primordial laws ceaselessly fused together under Du Xiaofu's control, and it formed a terrifying divine disk that emanated a heavy aura. It instantly left Du Xiaofu's body and blasted ferociously towards Shen Yan's spear. Rumble. The divine disk was extremely terrifying. It was like the heaviest thing in the world, and it was like a firm barrier that directly blocked Shen Yan's attack. Squeak. Squeak. A wave of sounds that caused one's scalp to go numb resounded. As the divine disk ceaselessly moved forward, the spear collapsed inch by inch and transformed into monstrous devilish chi, and then it was crushed into nothingness by the energy emanated by the divine disk. As he gazed at Du Xiaofu's ferocious attack, Shen Yan's pupils couldn't help but constrict fiercely. Qian Shi's strength was too formidable, and Qian Shi's spear was crushed with a single strike. However, the divine disk that emanated bright light hadn't been completely exhausted, and it still emanated an extremely terrifying force that continued to crush down towards him. Oomph! Shen Yin grunted coldly as he gazed at the scene before him, and then his arms danced in a crisscross pattern. A large amount of devilish chi was combined and transformed by him, and it finally transformed into a shield of light that stood before him to greet the divine disc's attack. Rumble. An enormous bang that shook the heavens and the earth resounded. The remaining might of Du Xiaofu's divine disc was still terrifying, and it collided fiercely with the pitch-black shield of light before Shan Yin. Two completely different forces crushed and destroyed each other, and they fluttered about while numerous strands of the laws and grand Tao markings interweaved with each other and swallowed everything. The area before Shan Yin had completely transformed into an expanse of chaos, and it was an extremely terrifying scene. Huff. After he resisted Du Xiaofu's attack, Shan Yin didn't suffer much of a shock, and Du Xiaofu's attack didn't descend onto him. This caused him to feel slightly fortunate in his heart, and it caused him to laugh coldly as well. Du Xiaofu wasn't an ancient expert in the end. No matter how swift his cultivation was, it required a long process. No matter how swift Du Xiaofu's growth was, it was impossible for Du Xiaofu to crush Shan Yin. However, this thought had just arisen in Shan Yan's mind when his brows suddenly knit together tightly, and he felt as if his scalp was about to split open. You want to retreat? It won't be so easy. Du Xiaofu had suddenly arrived by Shen Yan's side. A strand of sword light lit up around the terrifying azure dragon, and then the markings of the Grand Tao shot towards the surroundings and caused space to tremble. Such a strand of sword light caused Shen Yan's scalp to go numb. It wasn't that he hadn't witnessed Du Xiaofu's ability, and it could be said that he and Dongli Chihuang were the earliest people to witness Du Xiaofu's ability. Yes, such a strand of sword light was precisely the terrifying ability Du Xiaofu had comprehended himself, quintessence sky splitter. No matter if it was the quintessence of the laws or the quintessence of the Grand Tao, both of them were capable of condensing into such a terrifying sword strike. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu had grasped four great primeval laws at the same time. Now that he was able to stimulate the quintessence of the Grand Tao, the might of this sword strike formed from it was countless times stronger than before. As he watched this sword strike assault him, Shen Yan's scalp couldn't help but go numb. He didn't even hesitate to gather a large amount of devilish chi once more, and he continued to form a terrifying shield of light that stood before him with the intention of blocking this strike. Shen Yan was very clearly aware in his heart that if he was struck by Du Xiaofu's attack, then he would probably be heavily injured even if he survived. A terrifying howl resounded from Shen Yan's mouth. He'd exerted all his strength to defend himself, and he merely hoped to block off such a terrifying attack from Du Xiaofu. Devilish chi shot out from Shen Yan's body, and it swiftly formed a tight defense. The shield of light was pitch black and suffused with a glow that seemed material, and it contained the quintessence of the laws and the quintessence of the Grand Tao. On the other hand, right when he'd finished preparing all of this, Du Xiaofu's quintessence sky splitter had arrived. The sword light was brilliant like a collapsing pillar of the heavens, and it pierced through everything in its path. Everything it encountered was transformed into chaos. At the instant it arrived before Shan Yin, the terrifying defensive shield of light could be seen disintegrating swiftly while energy shot out. Du Xiaofu's quintessence sky splitter was like a hot knife through butter, and it instantly broke through layer after layer of Shen Yan's defenses. All the devilish chi was slashed apart, and it was truly like it was made of mud and couldn't withstand a single blow. Woo! During this entire process, Shen Yin let out numerous muffled groans. Obviously, he'd suffered an extremely great shock. As he retreated, he aroused the energy within his body and set up layer after layer of defenses once more, and he ceaselessly exhausted the energy of Du Xiaofu's sword light. However, this sword strike of Du Xiaofu's was really too terrifying, and it was easier said than done to completely negate it. Dense beads of sweat appeared on Shan Yan's forehead and ceaselessly dripped down. How could he not be on guard when facing the threat of death? Boundless devilish energy surged out from within his body like a floodgate being opened. At this moment, Shen Yin was simply risking his life to defend. However, all his efforts were in vain. The sword light eroded layer after layer of defenses and still struck his body in the end. Swish! Shen Yan's body was suddenly slashed apart, and it split into two from the middle. devilish blood sprayed through the air, and it emanated pitch-black flames that incinerated space. Kill. Du Xiaofu shouted coldly while his dragon eyes emanated a terrifying glow. Suddenly, the violet-gold heavenly tower had appeared in one of his dragon claws, and it emanated a terrifying force. As he looked at Shen Yan's situation, Du Xiaofu knew in his heart that it was impossible for Shen Yan to die so easily. If he wanted to annihilate Shen Yan, then he would at least have to make another strike. However, right when Du Xiaofu was about to raise his sword and fight again, he suddenly turned his head while his pupils constricted rapidly. Roar! Amidst waves of dragon roars, the enormous azure dragon's body rolled through space. At the same time, a sword light slashed out. Boom! Another enormous bang resounded. Amidst the dazzling sword light, it blocked off a baleful blood saber that assaulted him, and they slashed each other apart. After that, he saw Dongli Qihuang's figure charge out from space, and his gaze was extremely piercingly cold as he charged towards Du Xiaofu once more. I was on guard against you since a long time ago. When he saw Dongli Qihuang appear, Du Xiaofu grunted coldly and spoke like this. Since Dongli Qihuang disappeared and didn't appear for a long time, Du Xiaofu had already guessed his intentions. And it was indeed so. When he attacked Shen Yan with his sword, Shen Yan had already prepared a terrifying attack with the intention of launching a sneak attack. However, how could Du Xiaofu let him succeed so easily? When Dongli Qihuang attacked, he'd already sensed Shen Yan's movements and instantly took measures to intercept him. Du Xiaofu, I'll cut you into pieces. Dongli Qihuang's gaze was extremely deep and suffused with extreme coldness. Never had he imagined that Du Xiaofu would actually be so terrifying. He'd been on guard against Du Xiaofu since a long time ago, and Du Xiaofu had successfully blocked his attack. Such a situation caused Dongli Qihuang to be extremely vexed. Not only did his attack fail, Shen Yan even suffered an enormous injury because of it. So why isn't Dongli Qihuang in a hurry to flare up? You don't have the ability to do that. Du Xiaofu grunted coldly, and then he instantly struck out with his dragon claw. It tore the heavens and the earth apart, and it ferociously collided with Dongli Qihuang's palm strike. The East mythical Scarlet Phoenix rapidly retreated, and Du Xiaofu was also continuously retreating in the void. PFFF, however, in terms of strength, Du Xiaofu was obviously stronger than Dongli Qihuang, and he struck Dongli Qihuang to the point blood sprayed from his mouth. How are you? Dongli Qihuang descended to Shen Yan's side, and then he glanced at Shen Yan and asked. At this moment, Shen Yan's condition was extremely bad. The two halves of his body that were slashed apart were slowly closing up, yet blood was still flowing from the wound. Moreover, his entire body had a completely straight line from top to bottom, and it hadn't truly healed. Ah! Miserable howls frequently resounded from Shen Yan's mouth, and it was accompanied by enormous pain that assaulted his entire body. Du Xiaofu's quintessence sky split wasn't an ordinary attack, and it contained a peerlessly vast quintessence of the laws and grand Tao. In Shen Yan's opinion, he controlled the primordial laws of matter and soul, so the energy within them could be easily eliminated. However, the spatial laws and temporal laws were the true source of harm to him. As an existence at the void Tao, the strength Du Xiaofu possessed was naturally not something an ordinary person could go against. However, Shen Yan wasn't an ordinary person as well. It was absolutely not easy for an expert at the third level of meditative oblivion to kill him. Moreover, so long as he was given sufficient time, it wouldn't be difficult for him to recover to his peak state. I told you, both of you were just defeated by me. Since I was able to let both of you off and spare your lives in the past, I naturally have the ability to take it back. As he gazed at Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan, Du Xiaofu spoke these words. He'd once had the opportunity to thoroughly kill these two demon attendants. The clearest memory he had of it was on his way back to the desolate country from divine martial world's ancient desolation continent. However, at the critical moment, Jiangxin had suddenly appeared to plead for leniency. At the time, Du Xiaofu had spared Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan precisely because of his friendship with Jiangxin. However, Du Xiaofu didn't regret it because of this. Back then, He'd never imagined that things would develop to this point. At the same time, he had sufficient confidence in his own strength. Du Xiaofu even felt that Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yin were nothing more than clowns who wouldn't play a critical role in the true demon war. If it weren't for their identities as demon attendants, they wouldn't have caused such great panic in the 33 heavens at all. Chapter 29:32. When they heard Du Xiaofu's words, Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan's faces were livid and unsightly to the extreme. Especially Chen Yan. He was enduring extreme pain, and at this moment, he hated Du Xiaofu to the bone. Unfortunately, he was too weak and was no match for him at all. I can't delay any longer. Du Xiaofu finally glanced at Dibatian and Donghuang Taishuan's situation and thought to himself. Under the suppression of the 6 great demon generals, the 2 terrifying experts were being beaten down and had already suffered heavy injuries. Obviously, as time continued to pass, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes would be in a very bad situation. Kill. Du Xiaofu withdrew his gaze and stared at Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan once more. At this moment, the 2 demon attendants were injured, especially Shen Yan, whose strength had definitely been reduced by more than half. It was the best time to kill them. However, Du Xiaofu wasn't a stubborn person. He only wanted to make a final attack. Regardless of whether it succeeded or not, he had to withdraw and help Dibatian and Donghuang Taishan. Otherwise, it would be too late once the 2 experts fell into a desperate situation. Rumble. As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the azure dragon's body continued to twist. The immeasurable dragon's body was like a long mountain ridge that stretched for thousands of miles, and it pressed down on the void to the point it trembled repeatedly. The pair of dragon claws attacked from left and right, and they grabbed down at Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yin at the same time. It was like a pair of hands of the heavens that carried the power to shatter everything, and it was extremely terrifying. The 2 demon attendants' expressions became extremely solemn when they saw Du Xiaofu's actions. They didn't dare delay any longer and directly used their own methods to meet the attack. Terrifying energy raged wildly, stirring up boundless winds and clouds, and it swept out in all directions. The terrifying battle continued like the end of the world. The situation in other places was the same. Under the suppression of Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others, the devil race could not gain too much of an advantage. For the time being, they were evenly matched, and it was hard to tell who was the stronger one. On the other side, the battle between the Blood God Demonic General, Ming Luo Demonic General, Desolation Demonic General, and Donghuang Taishan was especially intense. Every attack carried the overbearing Great Tao force that could kill everything. At this time, Donghuang Taishan had already been severely wounded and could no longer fight the 3 demon generals head-on. Blood God Demon General ruthlessly struck him in the chest and sent him flying backwards. He smashed through the void, leaving behind a long trail of blood that extended into the void. Senior. Sensing this scene, Du Xiaofu and the others were shocked. Although they had already expected such an outcome, it was still difficult for them to accept it when they were truly faced with such a situation. Donghuang Taishan was very strong, but after all, he had not truly stepped into the path-bearing realm. When facing 3 injured demon generals at the same time, he was clearly not strong enough. After a long battle, Blood God Demon General took advantage of the moment and sent him flying. Needless to say, he was definitely seriously injured. Kikik. Half-step path-bearing realm. So what? If it weren't for our strength being damaged, we would also treat you like a chicken or a dog, no different from an ant. Blood God Demon General could not help but laugh coldly when he saw Donghuang Taishan being pushed back and spitting out blood. Kill this old man first, then we'll take care of the others later. Ming Luo Demonic General's eyes shot out a strong murderous aura as he glanced at the experts of the 3,000 sectors and the 33 heavens around him and said, "Today, everyone here must die. None of you can leave here alive." Desolation Demonic General's words were chilling. He took the lead and chased after Donghuang Taishan, his demon chi surging madly. It was extremely terrifying. Blood God Demon General and Ming Luo Demonic General no longer hesitated and directly attacked. The three demonic generals had made up their minds. They wanted to kill Donghuang Taixian and then deal with Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the others. As long as Donghuang Taixian died, the overall situation here would be set. No one could change the outcome. Looking at the actions of the three demonic generals, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others' pupils shrank rapidly. They could naturally imagine the terrifying outcome. Didn't they say that more experts from the 3,000 sectors would come? Why is there no movement after so long? A meditative realm old man from the 33 heavens muttered. His eyes glanced at the flames above with some anticipation. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian had said this before. They said that more experts from the 3,000 sectors would come and explore the 18 levels of hell with them. However, at such a critical juncture, there were still no reinforcements. This inevitably made people nervous. The true experts from the Lingwu world, Lu family, Flying Spirit sect, and other forces have yet to arrive. If all of them arrive, the situation will be reversed immediately. An expert from the 3,000 Great Worlds said. He understood the situation of the 3,000 sectors better and knew that there were many terrifying existences in the Lingwu world. They were all extremely powerful. The strength of those experts could not be compared to Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian, but they were definitely not much weaker than experts like Lu Jingyun. Most importantly, the huge number of experts could be a great hindrance to the demonic generals even if they were to forcefully push forward. However, the situation was urgent. If they did not appear now, everything would be too late. Kill. The three demonic generals did not have the same thoughts as the others. They only charged forward without caring about anything. They wanted to stop Donghuang Taixian and kill him completely. The three of them were full of imposing aura. Demonic aura surged and was extremely terrifying. Even though they were far away, Donghuang Taishuan's body was already locked onto by the biting cold murderous aura. That domineering and majestic figure could not move for a moment. Humph! Seeing this, Du Xiaofu suddenly snorted coldly. His dragon body soared into the sky and swept fiercely, causing Dongli Chihuang and Shan Yin to retreat. Then, the infinite dragon body flashed in the void and rushed to the other side of the battlefield, joining Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others. Quickly help me stop the three demonic generals. Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. At the same time, brilliance spread out from his body and instantly formed a huge 8 trigrams diagram, occupying the void. Let's go. Lu Jingyun and the others did not need to think too much about it. They understood Du Xiaofu's plan. In an instant, all of them left their opponents and rushed into Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams diagram, occupying 8 directions. Then, a powerful force spread out and followed the pattern of the 8 trigrams diagram. It surged and whistled, and all of it entered Du Xiaofu's body. Roar, Du Xiaofu, who was injected with endless power, let out an earth-shaking dragon roar, causing the millions of demonic clan experts in the distance to feel their souls tremble and almost collapse. The huge 8 trigrams diagram released a monstrous radiance, setting off his entire body. He was like a god, like a true dragon descending to the world, dominating the world. Origin Sky-Slaying Sword. Kill. Du Xiaofu did not even think before he used his strongest move at the first moment. A terrifying sword light rose into the sky. It was so terrifying that it seemed to be able to split the sky and the earth. It directly attacked the 3 demonic generals from behind. Not only that, the 9 divine lightning cauldrons, which were originally used to deal with Dongli Chihuang and Shan Yin, whistled through the sky at this moment, crushing layer upon layer of space, and brazenly smashed towards the 3 demonic generals. Stop him. Du Xiaofu's actions made Dongli Chihuang and Shan Yin a little anxious. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian were the strongest existences in the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors. If either of them lost their combat strength, it would be enough to affect the final outcome. If Du Xiaofu rashly interfered, it would cause a great impact. They only wanted to see Donghuang Taixian die in the hands of the 3 demonic generals as soon as possible. How could they allow Du Xiaofu to interfere? Under the command of the 2 demon servants, many meditative devil experts of the demonic clan moved instantly. Hundreds of experts attacked together, trying to block Du Xiaofu's attack together, so that the three demonic generals could free up their hands to kill Donghuang Taixin. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A large amount of demonic qi surged out like raging waves and surged towards Du Xiaofu. However, the young man who had transformed into the Azure Dragon did not even look at such a scene. He continued to attack the three demonic generals with all his might. With the power of Lu Jingyun and the other experts, Du Xiaofu felt that he was unprecedentedly powerful and his speed was extremely fast. The attacks of the meditative Devil Realm demonic clan were nothing in his eyes. However, the terrifying swordlight of the 9 thunder cauldrons could not be ignored by the 3 demonic generals. At this time, Du Xiaofu's attack was very terrifying. If they ignored it, they would definitely suffer a great loss. We will stop him. You continue to deal with the old man. You must kill him as soon as possible. The Desolation demonic general snorted and said to the Ming Luo demonic general. Then, he exchanged a look with the Blood God demonic general. Suddenly, the Blood God demonic general swung the Blood God demonic axe in his hand and blocked Du Xiaofu's origin sky-killing sword. At the same time, the Blood God demonic general also attacked instantly. Boundless and terrifying power surged and collided with the 9 purple thunder cauldrons. The remaining Ming Luo demonic generals did not care and continued to attack Donghuang Taixin. Young man, your skills are not bad. It's a pity that you have encountered us. No matter how fancy your skills are, they are still insignificant. The Desolation demonic general said coldly as he looked at the 8 trigrams formed by Du Xiaofu. He was moved by Du Xiaofu's skills. The combination of the power of hundreds of meditative Devil Realm experts was definitely not something that an ordinary person could perform. Most importantly, one had to master the 4 primordial laws at the same time to be compatible with the power of different attributes. It was also because of this that when the terrifying swordlight slashed down, the Desolation demonic general's face was somewhat serious. He did not dare to treat it lightly. Demonic axe destroys the sky. Break. The Desolation demonic general roared and slashed out with the giant axe in his hand. As he moved, waves of ferocious and ruthless aura shot out in all directions and condensed on the giant axe in his hand, causing it to instantly expand countless times. It was as if half the sky was held in his hand, and it looked even more terrifying. When the axe collided with Du Xiaofu's swordlight, there was a sound of metal clashing. Then, the scene fell into a strange silence. The movements of the two seemed to be frozen in mid-air. But this silence didn't last for a moment. Suddenly, with a boom, all the energy exploded in an instant. The terrifying swordlight and the Blood God demonic axe exploded at the same time and turned into the most terrifying energy. It was like a vast ocean with monstrous waves that surged fiercely to the surroundings. The figures of Du Xiaofu and the Desolation demonic general were drowned in an instant. It was hard to see them again. On the other side, the Blood God demonic general was much more relaxed. Faced with the attack of the 9 divine thunder cauldrons, a blood-red brilliance surged from his body, forming a huge light screen that enveloped his body. But when the 9 purple lightning cauldrons arrived, the light screen suddenly expanded and instantly became 10,000 times larger. Following that, a monstrous force shot out and hit the 9 cauldrons. Dang, 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 dang. 9 terrifying explosions sounded. The 9 cauldrons were sent flying one by one, drawing a straight line in the air. The purple lightning cauldrons poured out into the void and blasted them extremely far away. Humph. The Blood God demonic general snorted coldly and glanced in the direction of Du Xiaofu and the Desolation demonic general. The two of them were swallowed up by the boundless energy and disappeared without a trace. Only clusters of origin runes danced in the air. To the Blood God demonic general, Du Xiaofu was no match for him at all. The 8 trigrams technique was indeed extraordinary. Perhaps it would be particularly impressive against a heavily injured person like the Blood Ancestor, but it was still insufficient to fight against a demon general. Moreover, this was under the circumstances where Du Xiaofu's strength had greatly increased. It's the same if I kill you first. Anyway, no one from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors can escape today. The blood god demonic general glanced at the two battlefields in the distance. Dibatian was fighting fiercely with the red flame demonic general, the fierce locust demonic general, and the serene demonic general. However, he was also suppressed and had suffered considerable injuries. However, Dibatian had obviously restrained himself after seeing Donghuang Taishuan's situation. He no longer fought against the three demonic generals and only wanted to protect himself and delay the three of them. Because of this, he was at a disadvantage and was suppressed everywhere. He could only defend himself and had no strength to fight back. However, he still did not show any signs of defeat. On the other side, the Ming Luo demonic general was fighting against Donghuang Taishan again. This time, without the suppression of the two demonic generals, Donghuang Taishan and the Ming Luo demonic general were evenly matched. The battle was extremely fierce and actually ended in a draw. The blood god demonic general was relieved. For demonic generals like him who had been suppressed for countless years, he had lost too much strength. If he had fought against an expert like Donghuang Taishan alone before, he would have been suppressed. However, now that Donghuang Taishan was also seriously injured, he was on par with a demonic general. Then let's get rid of this guy first. Today, no one can save you. The blood god demonic general withdrew his gaze and suddenly rushed out. He directly rushed into the boundless energy waves formed by the attack of Du Xiaofu and the desolation demonic general. The bloody figure quickly vanished, vanishing within the terrifying origin runes. On the other hand, the Eastern mythical Scarlet Phoenix, Chen Yin, and many other experts from the devil race suddenly became idle. I wonder if the two demon generals will be able to kill Du Xiaofu's hundreds of people quickly, Dongli Chihuang said softly as he looked at the place covered by the energy storm. They had seen the power of Du Xiaofu's method. Back then, with that method, Du Xiaofu and a group of meditative realm experts had even seriously injured Xue Zhu. Because of this, Dongli Chihuang was a little uncertain. He did not know if the two demonic generals could quickly take down Du Xiaofu. He just wanted to see Du Xiaofu die as soon as possible so that he could be at ease. Just watch. The living beings of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors will die without a burial place. Chun Yin sneered. After he glanced at the situation in the surroundings, he once again focused his attention on Du Xiaofu's group of three. The current situation was leaning towards the demon clan side. With the 6 powerful demonic generals, the people of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors were just turtles in a jar. So long as one side had an overwhelming advantage, then the others would have no way to escape. After that, all the members of the demon clan stopped talking and looked at the battlefield with solemn expressions. However, most of their attention was on the battlefield between the blood god demon general, desolate fiend demon general, and Du Xiaofu. Amidst the terrifying energy, a cloud of mist was formed, enveloping a huge area. But at a certain moment, a bright ray of sword light shot out and tore the energy cloud into two. At the same time, a violent murderous aura mixed with a bloody and evil aura spread out. In an instant, the energy cloud was torn into pieces and scattered in all directions. The blood god demon general, desolate fiend demon general, and Du Xiaofu's bodies appeared almost at the same time. Around the azure dragon, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and hundreds of other meditative forgetfulness experts stood in 8 directions. Dozens of people formed a group and each occupied a corner of the 8 trigrams diagram. They were still channeling powerful energy into Du Xiaofu's body. In the terrifying attack just now, their formation did not collapse. They still maintained their unity and continued to attack the 2 demonic generals. Boy, you can't escape death today no matter what. The desolate fiend demon general swung his giant axe and pointed at Du Xiaofu, who was twisting his dragon body, and said, "I've changed my mind. I'll send you on your way first. Of course, that includes them." As he spoke, he glanced at Lu Jingyun and the others who were scattered around the 8 trigrams diagram. As long as Du Xiaofu was defeated, those meditative forgetfulness experts would naturally be affected by the terrifying impact. A few more attacks would be enough to wipe them all out. Why waste time talking nonsense with this boy? Kill. The blood god demon general said. His bloodied appearance made people's scalps tingle. The aura on his body was extremely terrifying. Covered in blood-red light, he attacked Du Xiaofu. The two demonic generals moved at the same time and closed in on Du Xiaofu. Chapter 29:33. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Du Xiaofu glared at the blood god demonic general and the desolation demonic general. His expression was extremely serious. The pressure that these two demonic generals gave off was too great. Du Xiaofu had never felt so much pressure before. Compared to the time when he fought the blood ancestor, the power that Du Xiaofu could control now was even more terrifying and vast. However, these two demonic generals were much stronger than the blood ancestor. He had to fight against two of them alone. In the previous battle, he had already suffered quite a bit of shock. Although it was not obvious on the surface, there were hidden injuries inside his body. Kill! Du Xiaofu shouted. The purple-gold heavenly tower in front of him let out a terrifying buzzing sound and shook violently. It surged out a dazzling sword light that stood erect in the void. Du Xiaofu charged forward again. Facing these two demonic generals, he had no other choice. Even if he withdrew and left the 18 levels of hell, the other party would not let him and the others off easily. If he weakened his momentum, he would be chased and attacked. The result would be even worse. Rumble. In this broken seal, a terrifying battle broke out again. Terrifying sword light shot out from Du Xiaofu's location. It was as if the sky and earth were being split open. It was extremely terrifying. These sword light were all produced by Du Xiaofu with all his strength. It was his most powerful technique, the origin source sky murdering sword. At the same time, the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons also brought along an earth-shaking rumbling sound, crushing the void. With a violent and overbearing intent, they smashed towards the two great demon generals from time to time, like giant moving mountains. You overestimate yourself. The blood god demonic general and the desolation demonic general sneered. They did not care about Du Xiaofu's attack at all. To the two of them, the strength Du Xiaofu displayed right now was completely unable to pose much of a threat to them. The blood-red light on the blood god demon general's body bloomed and formed strange patterns of the great Tao. They swept up into the sky and had the power to erode everything. On the other hand, the desolate demon general swung his giant axe horizontally and vertically. Every strike that landed was as terrifying as the end of the world. Du Xiaofu's attacks were blocked by the two of them again and again. Even though the origin sky-slaying sword was extremely powerful, it still could not shake the two of them. On the contrary, Du Xiaofu was tightly suppressed by the two demon generals. The attacks of the two demon generals could take advantage of the situation and cause terrifying damage to Du Xiaofu. After dozens of rounds, the dragon's body that was constantly twisting in the void was already covered in dragon scales. Flesh and blood were all over the place. Bones were all over, and blood was dripping everywhere. Du Xiaofu's azure dragon body's dragon head was also cut in half by the blood god demon general's axe. The cut was hideous and terrifying. Kill. However, Du Xiaofu did not care about this at all. He did not spare any extra effort to care about his own injuries. He continued to fight the two demon generals with all his might. Around the 8 trigrams he had constructed, Lu Jingyun and the other meditative experts' faces were extremely pale. Their auras were much weaker than before. It was not because they had consumed too much energy, but because they had suffered an unimaginable shock from the battle between Du Xiaofu and the two demon generals. In terms of the cultivation base of these people, Du Xiaofu's current strength had already reached the pinnacle of the meditative realm. Moreover, the two devil generals were even more extraordinary. The impact of their battle was simply too great. If it were not for the protection of the 8 trigrams, these hundreds of people would have been crushed into ashes. They could not be any more dead. Kikik. Du Xiaofu is doomed today. No one can save him. Dongli Qihuang watched the situation of the battle from afar, and he couldn't help but laugh coldly. He was extremely happy in his heart. That kid, Du Xiaofu, was utterly unable to resist the suppression of the two demon generals, and he'd suffered extremely heavy injuries in merely a few tens of rounds. On the other hand, the two demon generals had practically not suffered much of an impact. Du Xiaofu was really like an ant before the two of them. Even if he relied on the strength of a few hundred meditative experts, he was still unable to compare with a true Dao Vessel Realm expert. A Dao Vessel Realm expert was an existence that had walked out on his own Dao. They were the strongest experts amongst First Heaven Realm experts, so how could an ordinary person compare to them? It probably wouldn't be long before the two demon generals would be able to kill him with ease. If the joint forces of two demon generals are unable to kill Du Xiaofu, then they would truly be a disgrace to their reputation. So, that kid can't escape today. Chen Yin laughed ghastly as well, and he felt indescribably happy in his heart. Since the beginning, he and Dongli Qihuang had always been defeated by Du Xiaofu, and this caused them to suffer a rather heavy blow. But when he saw the two demon generals completely suppress Du Xiaofu with absolute strength today, how could Chen Yin not feel the hatred in his heart be vented? But at the same time, he felt even more bitter in his heart. If Du Xiaofu had used such a method to deal with him and the Eastern mythical Scarlet Phoenix from the beginning, the two of them would not have had any strength to fight back and would have been suppressed in an instant. So in the end, Du Xiaofu was still stronger than them, and he seemed to be an existence that they were unable to reach in their lifetimes unless that kid died. Kid, feel free to utilize any other methods you have. Otherwise, you won't have another chance. Desolate Fiend suddenly grunted coldly during the battle, and he spoke like this. He suddenly raised the enormous axe in his hand as if he was holding up a mountain, and a terrifying force converged and shook violently. Under the influence of this force, the surrounding space collapsed and disintegrated successively, turning into chaos, and the scene was incomparably terrifying. When such an axe suddenly chopped down, the entire broken seal shook, and endless flames leaped up rapidly before abruptly withdrawing as if they were blown by a gale, and they were on the verge of extinguishing. Clang, 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 clang. On the other side, the blood god demon general sent the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons flying one by one, and they passed through the boundless void and disappeared. Subsequently, his bloody body stepped out into the air and directly charged towards Du Xiaofu. A terrifying sea of blood flowed out from the blood god demon general's body and spread out in the void. Then, in the blink of an eye, it condensed into a blood-colored light sword that he held in his hand and suddenly stabbed towards Du Xiaofu. The swordlight and the axe shadow attacked from 2 different directions at the same time. Du Xiaofu, who was in the middle, felt an unparalleled force supporting his body in an instant, as if he was shackled, and he was tightly bound to the spot, unable to move. Ah! A terrifying roar came from his mouth, and it turned into a series of dragon roars that shook the heavens and the earth. Du Xiaofu howled into the sky, trying to break free from the restraint of the 2 demon generals. He squeezed out all the energy in his body and madly circulated it, but it was ineffective. He had exhausted himself to a terrifying extent, and his dragon body was full of holes. Whether it was the immortal Shin body or the blue spirit armor, they were about to collapse. Under the attack of the 2 demon generals, Du Xiaofu felt a sense of despair. Absolute power was too terrifying, and it made him feel extremely powerless. Hurry up and leave the 18 levels of hell, Du Xiaofu roared loudly, and actually stopped the strand of energy that he had painstakingly gathered, and then surged out in the direction of Lu Jingyun and the others. At the same time, the shaky 8 trigrams diagram was also instantly shattered by him, and turned into pieces of runes that shot out. Under the effect of this power, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and hundreds of meditated experts from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were all pushed back, and they escaped the range of the attack of the 2 demon generals. And Du Xiaofu himself completely withstood the attack of the 2 demon generals. This sudden situation caused many people to be stunned, and for a moment, they could not wrap their heads around it. Du Xiaofu, this kid, wants to resist the attack of the 2 demon generals by himself? But soon, Dongli Qihuang saw through Du Xiaofu's intention. Obviously, the kid knew that he was no match for the 2 demon generals and had given up on resisting. The only result of doing so was definitely death. He has reached a dead end, and no one can save him anymore. Chun Yin chuckled as he muttered. Both of them stared at Du Xiaofu, wanting to see him die in the end. Uncle Master Du. In the distance, Lu Jingyun and the hundreds of meditated experts immediately understood what had happened after they were pushed back. They quickly steadied themselves and tried their best to suppress the roiling power in their bodies. Then, they looked at Du Xiaofu with shocked eyes. At this moment, endless bitterness surged in everyone's hearts. As the leader of the 33 heavens, Du Xiaofu had led many experts to conquer the 18 levels of hell, and he had left an indelible image in everyone's hearts. When facing the Blood Ancestor, it was he who gathered the power of many experts and repelled that terrifying existence. When fighting with the two demon generals, it was he who stood up. However, in the end, even with the power of millions of experts, he was still no match for the two demon generals. At the last moment, the purple-robed young man chose to face them alone. Even if he knew that he would die, he still wanted everyone to escape. This caused the many powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 great worlds to feel pain in their hearts for no reason. Get out of my way. At the same time, in another place, Dibatian also noticed this scene. He roared and formed a series of hand seals. He wanted to force the three demon generals away. Kakik, are you trying to save that kid? Do you really think that the three of us don't exist? The U-Duo demon general smiled maliciously. His body turned illusory and disappeared in an instant. He then appeared in front of Dibatian and blocked him. The Red Flame Demon General and the Fierce Locust Demon General also moved at the first moment, tightly entangling Dibatian so that he could not help Du Xiaofu. Anger flashed across Dibatian's face, but more than that, he felt helpless. Kid, I'll be the first to send you on your way today. Die. At this time, the Blood God Demon General's blood-red lightsword and the Desolate Demon General's terrifying giant axe landed in front of Du Xiaofu at the same time. The blood-red lightsword released a monstrous evil aura. The smell of blood was pungent and sharp, as if it could cut through everything in the world. The terrifying shadow of the axe was also terrifying. It gathered into a peerless chop and landed on Du Xiaofu's head. These two attacks were incomparably terrifying. Before they truly descended, there was already an unparalleled aura pouring down, causing Du Xiaofu's azure dragon body to rapidly explode and disintegrate. Pieces of flesh and blood flew out and shattered in the void. In the end, the huge dragon bones also began to crack and were crushed into powder by the monstrous power. Roar! Du Xiaofu's throat finally let out a deep dragon roar. The pair of dragon eyes stared at the Desolate Demon General and the Blood God Demon General, then exploded and turned into ashes. It wasn't that he didn't want to fight back, but in front of the Dao Attainment Realm, the current Du Xiaofu was too weak and couldn't be a match for them. Even if he used all his strength, he couldn't move at all. He could only watch as the Desolate Demon General and the Blood God Demon General's attacks landed on him. Uncle Master Du, Yuqing Divine Emperor, Du Xiaofu. At this moment, time seemed to have frozen in the surrounding area. For the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, all of them felt their hearts sink. Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian were tied down by the demon general and couldn't go to the rescue. As for the majority of the meditative realm experts, they were powerless to do anything. When Du Xiaofu forced all of them to retreat, it seemed that this was already the end. Everyone watched as the sword and axe of the two demon generals descended onto Du Xiaofu in the end. There was no need to think about it. This time, there would probably be no accidents. The first young man at the Void Dao to appear since the primordial times would probably be unable to survive and appear before them. Hee. This scene caused Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yin to let out a string of cold laughter. They wantonly displayed the happiness in their hearts and roared with laughter. Once Du Xiaofu died, the obsession in their hearts would disappear along with him. Moreover, the enormous divine artifact of the devil race would be eliminated as well. Such an outcome was simply the best of both worlds. So long as Du Xiaofu was unable to survive, then who else in this world could pose a lethal threat to the Lord Devil Ancestor? So, Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin just watched silently and watched how Du Xiaofu died under the attacks of the two demon generals. "Kid, go to hell." The desolate fiend devil general shouted loudly as he controlled the enormous axe to chop down towards Du Xiaofu's head. A terrifying, baleful aura erupted. Not only did it crush Du Xiaofu's azure dragon body, it even caused unimaginable destruction to his soul core. In just a short moment, that kid would die a graveless death. Even if the great god Pangu was revived, he would be powerless to reverse the situation and would be unable to save him. But suddenly, right when the desolate fiend devil general felt the blade of his enormous axe had already touched Du Xiaofu's remaining head, a strand of forceful energy suddenly surged out and collided fiercely with his attack. This attack was extremely sudden, and it caused the desolate fiend devil general to be unable to react in time before it collided ferociously with his enormous axe. Clang! Along with an enormous bang, an enormous broadsword appeared, and it suddenly flicked upwards and emanated peerlessly domineering force that blocked the desolate fiend devil general's enormous axe. On the other side, the blood god demon general was also obstructed at almost the same time. A dark green brilliance flashed wildly, accompanied by a monstrous surge of energy. His blood-red sword radiance seemed to have encountered an extremely strong corrosive substance, and more than half of its power was instantly eroded away. Then, the dark green light followed the long sword in the blood god demon general's hand, and turned into dark green thin snakes that slithered rapidly up and into the blood god demon general's palm. Hiss, hiss, hiss! A strange sound rang out, and the blood god demon general's palm, which was dripping with blood after being attacked by the dark green energy, suddenly began to emit black smoke, and black holes began to appear. Without hesitation, he instantly let go of the long sword in his hand and abruptly retreated a few steps. The energy in his body circulated wildly several times, driving the billowing demonic chi, before finally incinerating the dark green energy that had crept into his palm. You are just a few demon generals who have yet to recover from your injuries. Do you really think you can do whatever you want in this world? At this moment, the slender figure of a man stepped out from Du Xiaofu's dragon head. This man was dressed in gray, and with a heavy sword in his hand, he fiercely repelled the desolate demon general's giant axe. Then, with a wave of his arm, rays of light scattered and landed on Du Xiaofu's broken dragon body behind him. And on the opposite side, in front of the blood god demon general, an extremely beautiful woman walked out from the void and stood between the blood god demon general and Du Xiaofu. What did not match this woman's appearance was that between her palms and fingers, there were wisps of dark green chi, like a venomous snake that was flicking its tongue. There was a bone-chilling aura that was emitted, causing one to feel a chill all over their body with just one glance. Such a man and woman had suddenly appeared and saved Du Xiaofu at the crucial moment. Seeing their appearance, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Lu Cheng, Lu Ji, Long Ke, Long Su and the rest were all wild with joy. Uncle Yang Guo, Aunt Xintong, Lu Xiaoyou's and Long Xin's children cried out in surprise. They couldn't be more familiar with these two people who had suddenly appeared. As for the rest of the people from the 3,000 boundless worlds, boundless joy surged out from them at this moment. Their originally ashen expressions were all swept away at this moment. Who are you? Looking at the two people, the desolate fiend demon general's expression also changed, and he unconsciously opened his mouth to ask, Heavy Sword Edgeless, Yang Guo, Poison Spirit Witch, Lu Xintong. The man and woman who had just appeared spoke one after another, their tone light. It's Heavy Sword Edgeless, Yang Guo, and Poison Spirit Witch, Lu Xintong. These two people are the elder brother and sister of the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaoyu. Both of them are extremely terrifying masters. These are the top experts of the 3,000 boundless worlds. I didn't expect them to come as well. This is great. With their appearance this time, I'm sure even more experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds will come as well. We have more confidence in dealing with the demon race now. The experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds couldn't help but begin to discuss. Everyone's words were incomparably excited. Obviously, they all knew about the names of the heavy sword Edgeless, Yanghua, and poison spirit witch, Lu Xintong. Just as they had said, Yanghua was the elder brother of the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, and Lu Xintong was Lu Xiaoyu's sister. The strength of these two people was absolutely terrifying. Chapter 29:34. At this moment, the experts of the 3,000 boundless worlds almost cheered. Under their influence, the people of the 33 heavens also felt a strong sense of hope. From the way the two of them attacked, it could be seen that they had blocked the attacks of the two demon generals at the critical moment. Du Xiaofu was also saved at the last moment, which made everyone heave a long sigh of relief. However, after being happy, some of the people of the 3,000 boundless worlds suddenly stopped laughing, and their expressions became puzzled. That's not right. Heavy sword Yanghua and poison spirit demoness Lu Xintong. How did the cultivation of these two become so strong? It seems to be true. The two of them were only at the peak of the third level of meditative forgetfulness before. They shouldn't have been able to block the two demon generals' attack on Du Xiaofu. Unbelievable. This should be at least half a step to the realm of enlightenment. Many people of the 3,000 boundless worlds were puzzled and found it hard to understand. Everyone knew how difficult it was to reach half a step to the realm of enlightenment. Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian were born at the beginning of the 3,000 boundless worlds. It was not easy for them to have such cultivation. It could be said that after countless years, only a freak like Lu Xiaoyu had appeared in the 3,000 boundless worlds. The other person was his brother, the strongest expert of the Azure Dragon clan, Dragon God, who had reached the same level as Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian. Other than that, countless people in the 3,000 boundless worlds were trapped in the last step of the meditative forgetfulness realm, unable to truly transcend. Heavy sword Yanghua, poison spirit demoness Lu Xintong, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and other experts were all like this. It was also because of this that everyone was puzzled when they saw Yanghua and Lu Xintong attack. They did not know how they blocked the terrifying attacks of the two demon generals. Could it be? The two of them had already broken through the meditative forgetfulness realm and were beginning to touch their own Tao? If that was the case, it would definitely open up a new world for all living beings. It was impossible not to be excited, but at this moment, everyone was still uncertain. They didn't know if this was really the case. Instead, it was Lu Jingyun and the others who stepped forward excitedly. They looked at the two people who had appeared and asked eagerly, Uncle Yanghua, Aunt Xintong, you have taken that step? These people's eyes were fixed on Yanghua and Lu Xintong, wanting to hear their answer. Sure enough, the gray-robed man and the beautiful woman did not answer directly. Instead, they nodded faintly and smiled. This is great. After getting a positive answer, everyone became even more excited. It had been many years since anyone in the 3,000 boundless worlds was able to take that step. Since there was someone else besides the Dragon God who could do all this, Lu Jingyun and the others must have a great chance of doing it as well. So what if you're half a step into the Tao Bearers? What do you think the 18 levels of hell are? Even true Tao Bearers would die here. At this moment, the desolate fiend demon general looked at the expressions of the people from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 great worlds and harumphed coldly. That's right. So what if you're strong? In the end, you can't escape death. If it weren't for our great loss of strength, you useless chickens and pottery dogs wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. The blood god demon general's eyes were cold as he looked at Yanghua and Lu Xintong. Although the two of them spoke viciously, it was obvious that they were showing signs of cowardice. The sudden appearance of these two people brought great pressure to the two demon generals. It was likely that today, the trajectory of the battle would change again. It would not be easy for the demon race to suppress the 33 heavens and the 3,000 great worlds. Boss Yanghua, I'll leave these two strange things to you. I'll go help the two seniors. Poison spirit, which Lu Xintong's red lips parted slightly as she glanced at the two demon generals and said. Then, he stepped into the void and headed straight for where Dibatian was. All right. Yanghua nodded his heavy sword and looked at the blood god demon general, and the desolate fiend demon general. Today, let me see how strong the Tao bearers are, Yang Gua said indifferently as he raised the heavy sword in his hand. He waved his other arm slightly, and a fierce light swept across. Du Xiaofu's broken body of the Azure Dragon was swept up and sent to Lu Jingyun's direction. Then, he faced the two demon generals. 3,000 great worlds? Let's fight. The Blood God Demon General and the Desolate Fiend Demon General looked at each other and snorted coldly. Then, the two demon generals exerted all their strength and unleashed a series of terrifying attacks. In an instant, they clashed with Yang Gua. The three of them were all terrifying experts. Each of their attacks was earth-shattering. Yang Gua's heavy sword was like the heaviest object in the world. It was also extremely fast, and the murderous aura was biting cold. For a moment, he was actually on par with the two demon generals. On the other side, Poison Spirit, which Lu Xintong was also helping Debatian to fight the three demon generals. With her arrival, Debatian, who was originally in a critical situation, finally heaved a sigh of relief. The pressure on him was greatly reduced. In the distance, Donghuang Taishuan's heavily injured body was also in an extremely intense battle with Ming Luo Demon General. However, this time, fortunately, there weren't many demon generals attacking together, so he didn't have to worry about losing. Du Xiaofu. In the distance, Dongli Qihuang and Shan Yin both felt the roots of their teeth itch. We actually couldn't kill him this time. They glanced in the direction of the heavy sword Yang Gua and Poison Spirit, which Lu Xintong respectively, and their hearts were filled with monstrous hatred. Their strength was simply too terrifying. Both of them had reached the half-step carrier realm. Although they were still far from being comparable to Debatian and Donghuang Taishian, they had still taken a crucial step and comprehended a part of their own Tao. Such experts were enough to change the current situation. And the person who benefited the most directly was Du Xiaofu. That kid was originally on the verge of death under the suppression of the two demon generals, but he was actually saved by the two of them and held on to his last breath. Such an outcome made Dongli Qihuang and Shan Yin feel endlessly depressed, and their fists were clenched so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. Will the demon race still have reinforcements? Among the hundreds of meditative realm experts from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 great thousand domains, Lu Jingyun raised an eyebrow and muttered. He looked at the boundless hellfire around him and then stared at the many demon race experts. This is the 18th level of hell. The demon race definitely still has experts, but they haven't appeared yet. But we can't care so much now. Let's fight. No matter what, we still have to push deeper. An expert from the 33 heavens said. Hearing this, the others nodded in agreement. Kill. Let's see how these demon race can be rampant this time. Everyone's fighting spirit rose again. Although they had suffered heavy injuries in the previous battle, it was difficult for anyone to conceal their killing intent when facing the demon race. At this time, everyone only wanted to fight the demon race. If they could continue to push deeper into the 18th level of hell, that would be the best result. Uncle Master Du, are you all right? Beside Lu Jingyun, Du Xiaofu had already returned to his human form from the Azure Dragon body. He was severely injured at this time, and his body was covered in wounds and dripping with blood. His spirit was also very weak, and his aura was weak. His primordial spirit was severely shaken. It's okay. I need a place to heal now. I may not be able to fight again in a short period of time. Du Xiaofu waved his hand and said weakly, Don't worry. He raised his eyes and glanced at the situation around him, and his heart eased a lot. The arrival of the heavy sword edgeless Yang Gua and the poison spirit which Lu Xintong were like charcoal in snowy weather, instantly changing the situation of the entire battlefield. Therefore, Du Xiaofu could rest assured and heal his injuries and strive to recover as soon as possible. Then enter my space. I'll call you if there's anything. Lu Jingyun nodded and opened a gap in his independent space for Du Xiaofu to enter. At the same time, he handed over a cosmos bag containing precious medicine. Okay. Du Xiaofu nodded and did not stand on ceremony. He took the cosmos bag and entered Lu Jingyun's space. With Du Xiaofu's departure, the seated forgetfulness powerhouses once again entered the battlefield, and a terrifying battle broke out between them and the demon race. However, because they had helped Du Xiaofu to fight against the two demon generals, many of them were seriously injured. Therefore, even though the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers, their overall strength was not as good as the demon races. Not long after the two sides fought, they were at a disadvantage. Many of the seeded forgetfulness powerhouses were suppressed by the demon race. Kakik. So what if there are powerhouses to help? You can't escape the fate of death, can you? Dongli Chihuang glanced at the situation on the battlefield and could not help but laugh coldly. Just as he had said, the demon race dominated the battlefield. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were all suppressed. Not only the powerhouses in the seeded forgetfulness realm, but even the 6 demon generals and Dibatian were facing the same situation. Donghuang Taixian and Dibatian had suffered different injuries in the previous battle. Yanghua and Lu Xintong, who had just arrived, were obviously not as strong as the two of them in terms of cultivation. As time went by, the battle continued, and the 6 demon generals gradually gained the upper hand. Yanghua, who was facing the Blood God Demon General and the Desolation Demon General, was suppressed in every way. Although he would not be defeated in a short time, he could not gain the upper hand at all. Lu Xintong and Dibatian joined forces to fight against the 3 demon generals, but they could not gain the upper hand. The situation between Donghuang Taixian and Ming Luo Demon General was the same. Therefore, after the previous depression, Dongli Chihuang once again relaxed, and the killing intent in his heart grew stronger. All of this was attributed to the results of the previous battle. If Yanghua and Lu Xintong had arrived at the battlefield earlier, Dibatian and Donghuang Taixian would not have been injured, and the current situation would be completely different. Let's kill. As I said before, no one from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds can leave the 18 levels of hell alive. Chun Yin said in a cold voice. His thoughts were exactly the same as Dongli Chihuang's. Is that so? Lu Jingyun responded indifferently and fought with all his strength. At the same time, he also turned his attention to the top of the broken seal as if he was looking for something. But then, his eyes suddenly moved, and the corners of his mouth unconsciously curled into a smile. He murmured, "Here it comes." Bang! As soon as Lu Jingyun finished speaking, a terrifying aura suddenly descended, and it was extremely terrifying, as if the heavens and the earth had been overturned. After that, they saw another few tins of figures arrive. Their auras were intertwined together, forming a boundless and terrifying might that caused the space to tremble violently. Dongli Chihuang and Shen Yin were shocked as well, and they raised their heads to look over. Shit, could it be the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds again? The devil race quickly noticed that the situation was bad, and they were extremely shocked. They could clearly sense that the crowd that had arrived was terrifying, and it seemed like every single one of them was stronger than Zhuo Wang. Needless to say, these people were most likely the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds. Sure enough, these people soon arrived in front of them. Without saying a word, they directly joined the battle and instantly surrounded the devil race. Many of the devil race's experts were in the center, and they attacked with all their might. Mother, senior brothers, senior sisters, you're finally here. When Lu saw these figures appear, she immediately shouted in surprise. It's the top experts of the Lingwu world, the Lu family, the Azure Dragon clan, the Flying Spirit sect, and other forces. Among the powerhouses from the 3,000 great thousand worlds, someone exclaimed in surprise. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Lu Cheng, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others exchanged glances with the hundreds of experts who had arrived. Everyone was extremely happy. That's right, these people who had just arrived were the top experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds. They were all in the Zhuo Wang realm, and each of their cultivations was terrifying. Most of them were in the third realm of Zhuo Wang realm. The sudden addition of such a powerful force instantly changed the situation on the battlefield. Bastard! There are actually so many experts in the 3,000 boundless worlds. Dongli Chihuang could no longer hold it in and began to curse. After the arrival of these experts, the demon clan, who had just gained a slight advantage, was once again in a desperate situation. What frightened him the most was that among these experts, there were a few who did not come for them. They directly ignored the Zhuo realm demons and went straight for the immortal realm demons. The demon clan has been wreaking havoc since ancient times. Now, do you think it's your turn to overturn the heavens? An expert from the 3,000 sectors who had just arrived snorted and threw a punch at the group of immortal realm experts of the devil race. At this moment, the number of Zhuo realm demons protecting the immortal realm demons was limited. The protection formed by them was also very weak. The young man's attack actually caused a hole to appear in the light shield. That terrifying fist print carried a whistling sound, and it carried the mighty power of the great Tao origin. In an instant, many of the immortal realm demons were thrown off their feet, and many of them died tragically. Even if the demon ancestor is invincible and has an indestructible body, he can't save your lives. Then, another young man charged out with a long sword in his hand. An endless amount of origin energy rapidly gathered and condensed into a terrifying sword ray. Once again, the sword ray slashed open the defensive light shield of the demon clan. The sword ray went straight in, wantonly reaping the lives of a large number of immortal realm demons. Countless screams were heard. The 3,000 boundless worlds and the 33 heavens have joined forces to fight. Other than the demon ancestor, the demon clan can't stand on the stage. Just as the fist print disappeared, a third young man appeared and also punched out fiercely. For a time, the three young experts were fighting back and forth, constantly attacking and killing, causing a huge chaos in the crowd of devils. Everyone was in danger, and no one knew when they would be crushed to death. Senior Brother Niefeng, Senior Brother Taiya, Senior Brother Hongyu, well done. Lu Cheng, Lu Ji, Lu Feng, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others instantly shouted and cheered. Bastards! Bastards! Damn the 3,000 boundless worlds! I'm going to tear you all apart! Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin saw all this and roared angrily. They were pinned down by Lu Jingyun and Lu Yuxiao, so they couldn't take any action at all. They could only watch as the three young experts wantonly killed the immortal realm demons on a large scale. They could imagine that if they didn't think of a way to intervene, millions of immortal realm demons would be killed in the end. Such an outcome was not what they wanted. Retreat. Retreat quickly. Continue to go deeper and gather more experts. People of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds will die in the 18 levels of hell. Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yin roared angrily and immediately commanded the demon clan experts to start a new round of retreat. The more than 100 immortal realm experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds brought them too much pressure. If they didn't take any measures, the demon clan would only have a few immortal realm experts left. Retreat. This is not the place for the final battle. Our mission is to delay these people. There will be opportunities later. The 6 demon generals also realized that the situation was not good, so they quickly left their opponents and led the demon clan to retreat. How can we let you escape so easily? The experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds snorted coldly. Everyone raised their swords and knives and continued to pursue. The devil clan was in a state of utter defeat. They had lost because of the sheer number of meditative realm experts. As for the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, they continued to pursue the devil race with a crushing momentum. Kill! Hundreds of immortal realm experts shouted, and everyone's fighting spirit was high. The tables had turned too quickly, and they saw hope again. No matter what, they had to bring the demon clan a great number of immortal realm experts. Didn't the demon ancestor want to recover? At the same time, everyone had a strong sense of admiration for Lu Xiaoyu, the lord of the 3,000 great cosmos.